Good evening, everyone. I hope everyone has had a good day so far. My name is Norberto Montero, and I'm excited to tell you about some information on how Lyndhurst has been doing. Starting off with our FFA, students have been busy bees and working to get their members involved and increase their student engagement. This last weekend, the FFA officers attended the Chapter Officer Leadership Conference at Sutter High to better their team building and leadership skills. The students with livestock projects will be participating in the project competition. They must talk to a panel of judges about their knowledge in livestock and raising livestock experience. The chapter will be installing their first set of Green Hand FFA officers. These are students that have interest in a leadership role who are freshmen or first year in ag. On October 6th, they will be traveling to Lodi with the Green Hand FFA officers to participate in a Green Hand Leadership Conference. While at this conference, the young students will learn how they can better advocate for agriculture, become future leaders, and perfect their communication and interpersonal skills. Moving on to the art department, Art 1 students are developing their drawing skills and trying to push their creativity. Their focus lately has been on embracing their growth mindset, and they recently created a board that will be hanged for the campus to enjoy, with the concept of sharing positive messages and/or drawings on sticky notes. The idea is that they are sharing some support and kindness with our larger LHS community, and the message will be for anyone to take what they need from the Board of Support. As of today, September 27th, we have 63 seniors and juniors that have signed up to take the ASVAB, Armed Service Vocational Aptitude Battery, which will be taking place at the LHS Auditorium on Monday, October 3rd at 9 a.m. This comprehensive career assessment measures developed abilities and helps predict future academic and occupational successes, and provides job/career recommendations within the outside the military. The Yuba College Informational Day, which was held on Thursday, September 22nd from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m., gave seniors the opportunity to meet face-to-face with over 30 representatives from CSU, UC, private and out-of-state colleges and universities, as well as Yuba College programs and departments. This was really helpful towards the seniors at LHS, and many students learned about what opportunities they have available and how to get to that nervous point in life when it comes to figuring out what they want to do once they graduate. Last but not least, our leadership ASB has been working hard on getting preparations done for homecoming, which will be held on October 21st and is themed around constellations. They have been making countless posters and getting decorations in order to try and make this homecoming fun and exciting for the students at Lyndhurst. They have also held many lunchtime activities to try and get the school spirit up as well. On October 7th, there will be a home football game against Fortuna, and the student section's theme is Pink Out to honor breast cancer awareness. Not only that, but there will also be clubs selling countless food items to help raise money for their clubs. So with that, I would like to invite everyone to come out and support and enjoy this event. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you very much. MCAA, and please state your name.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Garrett Granger, and I am the ASB Treasurer representing MCAA. This week was Positivity Week, another one of the ways we try to boost school spirit, and today was Teacher Twin Day. And tomorrow is Fancy Day. Gonna have my nice shoes on for that. We also put up sticky notes with positive messages on the lockers that have locks on them, and then on teacher doors. We had a specific message for each teacher. It was really fun. And then we have a lot of ways at our school to support the classes and show off a lot of their talents. However, we've been doing our best to show off more personal and individualized talents that people would like to purposely go out and show off instead of just the classroom showing it off. And so this Friday is Dragon Feast, a mix of our Picnic in the Quad and Dragon Fest, which is basically our talent show, and then we're gonna set up pop-up tents for shade. And then yesterday and last Friday, we held auditions, and we had a lot of great talent, some poems, we had some piano, and some singing, and I myself auditioned for that. And then finally, in just a couple of weeks, rehearsals for Puffs will start, which is a parody, definitely not based on the Harry Potter series. It's not based on the Hufflepuffs, I swear. And the play will start in early November. Please come and watch that. It's really funny. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do we have anybody from South Lyndhurst?
Good evening, board Good evening, board members, Dr. Fall, and the cabinet. My name is Angelina, and I am a North Lyndhurst High School student. The first 7 weeks on all 3 campuses have been very busy. Let's start with North. Mr. Tracy and Mr. Seiler at McKenney have opened up a door for our students to participate in community service at their sporting events. So far, we have had students participate in volleyball and football. Our responsibilities range from running the snack bar to the scoreboard operator and markdowns for the football games. Last Wednesday, we had a National Guard, Sergeant Rubio, talk to all of our students about the opportunities they have to offer. We continued our basketball tournament that included staff and students, and a student won. That was for Suicide Awareness Week. We also did positive affirmations, where we had students come and write down affirmations on a big sticky note. Tomorrow, all of our students will take the ASVAB test so they can better understand a career path that fits them or opens the door to the military. And the quarter will end October 7th, so all of our students will be working hard to get good grades and earn their credits. Now for updates on our South Campus. The students at South took their ASVAB test last Wednesday. 2 of our students were selected as Shady Creek counselors for the Foothill Middle School this week. South Lyndhurst has been a great resource for quality Shady Creek counselors to help our elementary and middle schools. South Lyndhurst campus will also wrap up their quarter next Friday. Now for ABL. ABL, or Independent Studies, took students to Yuba College for their College Day along with both South and North Lyndhurst campuses. This event really helped our seniors get a better idea about their futures after high school. Yesterday, Mr. Jones held in-person enrollment orientation with every new student and parent for this month. During those meetings, Mr. Jones communicated the expectations for the program, answered students' and parents' questions, and provided them with a warm handoff to their assigned teachers to sign contracts. All secondary students will be ending their quarter on October 7th as well. And I'd just like to say, North Lyndhurst and South Lyndhurst are doing an amazing job at keeping their students entertained with what they have going on at the schools. I've never been someone who's been into school, but I'm a senior now, and unfortunately throughout the years, I really messed up when it came to credit. But being at the school ever since, I am a straight A student. I've won Student of the Month, and it just gives me a lot of hope and positivity coming here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now we have recognitions.
Never works, and I wanted to. Thank you. So we will, please, if you would join me, and we have the honor of recognizing 8 of our fabulous schools. But before we do that, Dr. Murray, would you share a little bit what we are recognizing?
Thank you so much for the opportunity to recognize our schools, our 8 award-winning schools that have received PBIS recognitions. You may know that there is a national program that supports schools with strategies to encourage positive student behaviors and school culture. And you may also know that each year schools are recognized nationally for working to implement the PBIS framework on their campuses. We recently learned 8 of our schools have earned silver and bronze recognition from the California PBIS Coalition for their work during the 2021-2022 school year. And the schools that have earned these awards are Arboga Elementary School, Browns Valley Elementary, Cordua Elementary, Cedar Lane Elementary, Johnson Park Elementary, Marysville High School, McKenney Intermediate School, and Yuba Feather Elementary School. Positive Behavior Interventions and Supports, PBIS, is a framework, and it helps schools improve systems and practices that affect student outcomes every day. MJUSD schools have been involved with training their staff and implementing the PBIS best practices to support and improve school climate and conditions to maximize student academic and social behavioral outcomes. So I am so excited to see the efforts of the students and staff have been recognized by the California PBIS Coalition. So congratulations. I'm going to ask principals to please come up and help me to extend congratulations to your PBIS team members. So Mr. Eric Preston, if Mr. Eric Preston wants to come up. Or, oh, Amy, I'm going to call out the names. Oh. So I will congratulate Principal Eric Preston. No. Yes. Thank you. Nicole Verkiel. Anthony Nelson. Alma Angel. Where? I know Alma's here. Oh, Debbie Jones. Katrina Whitlow. Kaylee Waycaster. And Autumn Fernandez. Thank you. And we also have Principal Heather Marshall is here to recognize her award winners from Browns Valley and Cordua Elementary Schools. Congratulations to Mrs. Heather Marshall. Congratulations, Terry Schrader. Christy Ellington Sherry. Dionisio Martinez. Patricia Nordby. Taylor White. And Cashley Bechtel. And congratulations to Principal Rebecca Evers for Cedar Lane. Rebecca, if you want to come on up for your Cedar Lane. You need my Cedar Lane certificate? Oh, okay. Okay, sounds good. We'll do pictures first. Okay, thank you. Yeah, just who's here would be great. If you could tell me. Yep. If they're not,
she's also our facilitator.
If they're not here, you can just hand them to me.
That's who's here so far.
Upside down is here.
No, the one in your hand is who's here.
Oh, none of these others are here?
No.
Oh, well, that's just a
Some of them
shame.
are sick. Can't make it.
Andy's here.
Andy. We don't have one of his certificate?
Maybe it's in where, I'll have to double check. Thank you. Well, I don't want her to mix them up. I'll call her name. And congratulations also for Cedar Lane Elementary School Principal Rebecca Evers. I'd also like to recognize Cedar Lane staff Rachel Valencia. And Andy Megenheimer. And Monica Reyna. Rachel? And Andy. Thank you. And now we have to do our photo op first. And it is also an honor to recognize Johnson Park, led by Mrs. Tracy Pomeroy, principal. Thank you. And our Johnson Park PBIS staff members, Tina Lovall, Melissa White, Yesenia Cashew, Nicole Pitts, Adriana Jaquez, Tamisha Stows, and Constance Franklin. Great job, Johnson Park.
People on top are here and the people on the bottom aren't.
Thank you. Okay, and we also have recognitions for our Marysville High School team. Picture first. And so I want to recognize our Marysville High School administration team from last year, Siobhan Matthews, and our current principal at MHS, Mr. Dr. David Vujovic, and also our PBIS team members, Wendy Weeks, Michelle Caldwell, Assistant Principal Alicia Wright, Assistant Principal London Duenas, Yvonne Thornton, Alicia Stokes, Bill Rollins, Justin Noreen. Thank you so much, Marysville High School. We also have, photo up first.
Give these to
Thank you.
David to take.
Thank you.
And again, he sorted it for people that
Perfect, thank you.
doesn't look
Very
faster.
helpful. Hold up your certificates. Yeah, good job, good job. Thank you. We also have McKenney Intermediate School, led by Principal Joe Seiler. Mr. Seiler. Tara Hensley. Malachi Worry. Miranda Southward. I love your t-shirt. I love it. I love your t-shirts. Juan Lopez. This commando, that's it. Congratulations, McKenney. Good job, McKenney. Thank you, Mr. Seiler. Great t-shirts. Thank you. Thank you. And then we also have Yuba Feather with Principal Dwayne Triplett here to represent Yuba Feather. Good job. And Billy Bean. Nancy Yang. Monica Quilty. Nicole Tyndall. Okay, thank you and great job, Yuba Gardens. Thank you. Thank you. And congratulations and thank you to our partners in this work, Yuba County Office of Education, Bobby Abold. Thank you so much. And so congratulations to all of our award-winning PBIS schools. Next year we will be going for the gold PBIS status. So congratulations. And ORC Extraordinaire Alma Angel from Arboga. Congratulations. Well done. Your hard work does not go unnoticed.
Now we have opportunity for employee organizations to address the board. Marysville Unified Teachers Association.
Good evening, Mr. Davis and rest of the board and those of us that are in attendance this evening and those of you that are watching at home. I'm Angela Stiegel. I am the president for the Marysville Unified Teachers Association. And I am here this evening to speak rather briefly, but strangely enough, against the, I guess you would call it recommendations or words of advice from my fellow union members. Their words of advice were, you should probably just go home and take a nap for how much you're listened to. And despite the fact that I am relatively certain in my knowledge that very little of what I say here means very little to the people before me, I'm going to continue to speak in the hopes that maybe that will change. But this evening, I figure I'll keep my comments relatively short because I'm going to refer back to the comments that I made last week, or 2 weeks ago at the last meeting. And I came in with a short bit of information from CSBA, which is the California School Board Association, from a key document that they publish that's entitled, What It Takes to Lead, Role and Function of California School Board. And I let the board know that one of the key roles or functions that's mentioned in this document is ensuring a positive personnel climate exists. And I think it's interesting that after pointing this out last week and mentioning this, I haven't heard from a single school board member. Neither has anybody on my bargaining team, nor my executive board, nor my rep council, nor any of the other 4 or 5 dozen teachers I asked about it. And so I will remind the board this evening, again, putting some words out there as a plea to the school board that one of your roles and functions is ensuring a positive personnel climate exists. And to keep it short, I'll let you know two things. One doesn't exist. Two, you're not doing anything to ensure that it is. Thank you.
Thank you. Operating Engineers Local Union number 3. California School Employees Associations number 326 and 648. Association of Management and Confidential Employees. Supervisory Unit. Okay, now we move to presentations. 10.1, Dobbins and Yuba Feather Elementary School Site Plan.
Good evening. It's a pleasure to showcase my two schools, so enjoy. Dobbins and Yuba Feather Elementary Schools, the pride of the mountain. We are always asked why we do what we do, and so we wanted to show you what our why is. This is our why. Look at those happy, smiling faces. These kids are the future of our community and our society, and we strive to do the best. So excited. You see that last picture that popped up. That is our staff with the flag for the California Pivotal Practice Award that we are awarded for because of all the work that staff did for these kids that you see during the pandemic. Well, the purpose of any site plan is to make sure that every student succeeds. We want to make sure that all of our kids are academically growing each and every year. Now, our community, we're up on the mountain, it's rural, and we are fortunate enough to be nominated to be part of the STEAM focus in the district. And so that has been something that we have been doing over the years already. And so we're excited to be part of that STEAM initiative in the district. Our attendance, we struggle. We've struggled with attendance prior to COVID, but now with the kids needing to be home every time they're sick, we hover for both schools in the 87th percentile. Last year, Dobbins Elementary was fine with 0 suspensions, but at Yuba Feather, we had 26 days of suspension. 9 students were part of that suspension, and we had 1 student who had 10 days of suspension. It's something that we're trying to work on, but with the behaviors that everyone is seeing, including us up on the mountain, we are still struggling with school climate. Our CAS data came in not what we had hoped. Yuba Feather, you can see the data there on the right-hand side of the screen. There was some high points, but again, not what we had hoped for, and we are continuing to strive to get those better. At Dobbins, it's a little different story. You can see 3rd grade struggled, but 4th and 5th grade did very, very well this past year. Where we saw a dip was in our 6th grade as well. Now, I'm going to talk to this a little bit in a future slide, but we are seeing some reasons why that this is occurring, and it's because of the combo class at Dobbins Elementary. It's a 4th, 5th, and 6th grade combination class, and I think that leads to what you see there with the results. You see all the things that we use to collect data to kind of alter how we do things, both academically in our school-wide intervention at both sites, as well as through our PBIS at both sites to try to help school culture. Goals. Every site plan has a goal. The first one lines up with the LCAP goal, and it's really about academic improvement. So at Dobbins, we use all of our Title I money for a student support specialist. Now, what they do is they specialize in instruction, really one-on-one in English, math, and writing. And we take our most at-risk students at Dobbins, and we have that student support specialist work with them. What I love about this is a retired teacher, credentialed teacher, And she is able in reading to get kids to grow 1.5 years in 1 year. It is phenomenal what she's able to do. And so we have seen that time and time again in the data, and we're excited to have her and continue to have her support. One of the other things is we talked about, we saw that 6th grade dip in both math and English. And so what we've done, because that class at Dobbins is a 4, 5, 6 combo class, this credentialed teacher takes the 5th grade out for math and teaches that to them. So the other teacher of the class can then focus on 4th and 6th to try to help bolster all students in their academic support there, both in ELA, but particularly in math, because that was really down this year. At Yuba Feather, under this first goal, we have a literary resource technician, known as a librarian, and she is essential for reading across our school, both intervention in the classroom and school-wide intervention as well. And she provides great programs throughout the year to get kids excited about reading. Then we also are purchasing supplemental instructional aids like Scholastic's News, some STEAM and intervention materials critical to move forward and really close that achievement gap. Now, the LCAP Goal 2 is to create an environment that addresses the physical, emotional, and safety needs of all students and staff. So at Dobbins, we really try to promote attendance through school communications, both to the home as well as students. We try to always, in our monthly gatherings, do student attendance certificates, and then we schedule meetings however it works for the parents, and try to really hit those parents that have chronic absences. Now, at Yuba Feather, we do the same thing, but we also do a lot more with printing costs of newsletters and sending things out. We also use monies in this goal too to keep up on technology for our students and to provide staff development in the areas of conscious discipline, trauma-informed, STEAM, and project-based learning. Goal 3 is to prepare every student for skills needed for college and career. This has been one of the focuses for both Dobbins and Yuba Feather for the last 5 years. Now, with the new district STEAM initiative, has given us more of an opportunity to meet this need and really get students ready for college and career. We do this through the newly adopted science curriculum, and then we have weekly STEAM education in all of our classrooms, and we are hoping, if funding allows, to get back to taking field trips like we've done in the past to colleges as well as other places of business that are STEAM related. LCAP 4 is build a system of specific support for our EL learners. And this only really correlates to Yuba Feather, and we use this to provide supplemental curriculum and instructional aids to again close that achievement gap for those kiddos. Goal 5 is to improve home and school partnership. This has been a difficult thing at both schools for a number of years. This year we've gone a little different. We've asked each teacher to recruit one parent to be a class representative, and we're hoping to be able to get these parents involved to help both in the classroom, but also provide help on site council, DAC, ELAC, PBIS, and our parent-teacher association at each school. Now, if you look at the budget summary, this is Dobbins. You see we don't get a whole lot in Title I, but there's more in targeted, and then you see our lottery, our music, and our science fund. Here's the budget summary for Yuba Feather as well. It's quite a bit more in Title I. We fund a couple of paras out of that, as well as other things. You see targeted, there's lottery, music, and science as well. Well, like I've already alluded to, we are thrilled to be part of the district STEAM initiative up in the mountains. We do things at both sites weekly. They're STEAM Friday. And at Yuba Feather, it's called Fun Friday. And at Dobbins, it's just called STEAM Friday. And you're seeing pictures of the latest thing at Dobbins. They did a STEAM Friday, and the theme was apples, and on what you're seeing here was the whole experiment and around buoyancy and density. And the kids got to take apples, cut them up in a variety of different configurations, add toothpicks and different things to them like sails, and see how they would be buoyant. Up here at Yuba Feather, what we saw this past week, we had some rain, and it was exciting to see that as we went around for rainy day recess, that the kids were all gravitating towards engineering type playthings, making gears and different machines out of gears and other things. And it was just exciting to see them gravitate towards that. So what you see at both Dobbins and Yuba Feather is really the STEAM is part of every day in the classroom. And we are excited to be helping the district with this STEAM initiative. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So the question I have for you is on your music program, do you have a music teacher yet?
We do.
Great.
So we do have a music teacher at both sites, and he's there 1 day a week at each site.
Wonderful. That's great. Any other questions from the board? Thank you very much.
Thank you
Great
very much.
presentation. Now we have updates by department. Business Services.
Hi, good evening. I just have a couple of items. First, I'd like to thank the Marysville High School students and staff and coaches for coming over to the boardroom a couple weeks ago and gave us their input and feedback on renovations to the track out there. We had a great turnout, and I appreciate everybody attending. And then also, coming up on October 12th at 5:30 at the Covalad Multipurpose Room, we're going to have a community meeting to talk about and celebrate the new 16 classroom building. So thank you. Please come.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Jennifer? Thank you, Jennifer. Education Services. Jay?
Yes, good evening and welcome, everybody. I'm excited to first, I just want to highlight, I know the board is aware of this, but whether or not our community is aware that one of our district's core values is that we be student-centered by investing our time and our resources in actions that bring measurable results for our students and value. I can think of no better way that this core value comes to life than through the work that's currently being undertaken by our literacy committee, our TK Literacy Committee. We had our first meeting last Thursday in this very room, in which the intent was to give committee members a deeper understanding of the key elements of literacy and the science of reading. So the thinking is that we want the committee members to have a base foundation upon which they can then begin conceptualizing literacy instruction for our school district. We have several members on the committee, and I won't list them all by name, but I do want to give a shout out to the 6 elementary principals and assistant principals who are on the committee. We have 4 members from my division who are on that committee, and more importantly, we have 15 teachers who are serving on that committee. So the next stage, of course, will be to do our own assessment of reading instruction in our own district and the needs of our teachers and our students, and then taking what we have learned about quality reading instruction, taking what we learn about our current reality, we will then begin to construct the plan for literacy in MJUSD beginning next year. So really exciting work. I'm also thrilled to report that last week we had over 400 students from our local high schools attend College Information Day at Yuba College. And there they had a chance to interact with admissions and faculty members from multiple colleges from around the area, including, of course, Yuba College itself, but also UC Davis, UC Merced, the Fashion Institute of Design and Merchandising, San Jose State, Chico State, and there were others there, I'm sure, but it was a great turnout, and I just want to thank the administrators, the counselors, the teachers, and the classified staff members who helped to make that possible for our kiddos. In the spirit of building a college culture, last week I was part of a delegation that went to Washington Middle College High School in Sacramento. That delegation was made up of myself, our college and career director, Jamie Larson, Dr. Azrani, and Yuba College officials, including Dr. Tani Dotson, the president of Yuba College, also the Dean of Student Success and Institutional Effectiveness, what a title that is, right? Dr. Jeremy Brown, and then our very own Dean of STEM and Social Science, that's Michael Bagley, whom you know is working with us with our dual enrollment, our early college program here in the district. So we went there to learn more about the inner workings of a middle college high school and to gain understanding and know-how, because there's a vision and a hope that we might be able to bring a similar middle college high school to Marysville Joint. I was excited to see the celebrations tonight for our PBIS schools. Incidentally, Marysville High School, Arboga, and McKenney, this was the second year that they've won the PBIS award, so they're a two-time winner of that. So PBIS is alive and well in those schools. Stay tuned for more celebrations, because I'm happy to say that my department, under the direction of Zachary Pless, has resurrected our staff and student recognition program. And as early as the next board meeting, we hope to have a slew of teachers and students here before us to celebrate their efforts and their contributions to our school community. And lastly, I know this is a lot, but there's just a lot happening. We began officially mainstreaming our SDC preschool students who are enrolled in the county program with a general education preschool classroom here in our district at Linda Elementary. The idea there is that the two teachers are working collaboratively and meeting on a weekly basis so that we can learn well what a model classroom looks like when we're having SDC students mainstreamed with regular education students. So the idea is that these two teachers will help us become better informed about what routines and structures and furniture and materials have to be in place in a preschool classroom that's going to be mainstreamed. And so look forward to more on that front. As we continue to learn things, I'll be sharing our findings with the board. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions for Jay? I'd like to hear from Brian. Is there any developments since the last board meeting?
Pleased you, Mr. Davis. I've actually got a bit of a presentation later, and I will use my time then. So,
thank you very much. Dr. Azrani?
Thank you. I'd also like to keep it brief and hand my time to Dr. Amy Murray. But before I give it to her, I'd like to say that, we've been visiting schools. I think between Jay and me, as of this week, I'll finish every single school one time round. And I see nothing but such excellent performance. People are smiling and people are happy and they're doing what they have chosen to do. So we feel good about that. I also did go to Yuba College and see the students, and one of the students said to me, why is USC and University of San Diego not here? So we have a challenge, Mr. Trujillo, to make sure USC and San Diego is here. Isn't that great? They called it out. Dr. Azrani, what is this? So that's one. And then I would like to, we did the PBIS celebration, but sometimes we forget to talk about the people behind the scenes who do all that work, and that's Dr. Murray. And she has been systematically making sure that PBIS rolls out with dignity, that it doesn't sound like it's overwhelming our teachers. But like one of the principals said to me this past week, PBIS is about children. It's about us learning the skills to help our children. So I really want to give a shout out to Dr. Murray and the work that she does with PBIS, Dr. Murray. And now I'll turn it over to you for the work she's doing with the MJUSD graduate profile. So it's a short presentation, and if you could please just give us some time. Dr. Murray.
Superintendent, Dr. Israni, trustees, and members of the audience. I am Dr. Amy Murray, the District Coordinator of Educational Services, and I'm serving as the lead in the district's work in developing the graduate profile. The Marysville Joint Unified School District is creating a graduate profile to identify the academic, personal, and interpersonal competencies required for success in the 21st century world of work. The graduate profile will help ensure that we are creating an equity-centered education system with identified preparation benchmarks at each of the elementary, middle school, and high school levels. Why create a graduate profile? The profile is a clear visualization of priority goals for teaching and learning that can be easily communicated to students, parents, staff, and community to align our collective efforts. When we create a graduate profile, we ask ourselves, what skills and competencies do our students need to develop to be successful in the 21st century? What will those competencies look like? How would we develop those competencies? Here is a list of some competencies that we might want to see developed in all of our students. For example, motivation to continue lifelong learning, the ability to adapt to changing technology, and problem-solving and decision-making skills, to name just a few. The key features of a graduate profile are identified in this slide. Together, we will identify critical core competencies that all of our MJUSD students should possess. When students graduate from Marysville, they should be prepared for college and/or a career. Think about both hard and soft skills that students need to be successful. Hard skills are measurable, such as reading or math. Soft skills are harder to measure, but just as important. What are the academic and social skills that our students need in order to be successful in the world? We will explore this question as we create the graduate profile in collaboration with our educational partners. Many districts from across the state and country have undertaken similar efforts to develop graduate profiles. We're sharing some examples with you, including this one from Davis, California. You may notice that while the graphics and format for each district is unique, the profiles themselves have some similarities. Each profile typically identifies between 5 and 10 categories that reflect the vision of the skills and competencies that the district seeks to develop in its students. Here is an example from Southern California, from Pasadena Unified. You might notice that in this profile from Pasadena, critical thinker is identified as a key outcome for graduates. Our graduate profile will reflect input from all of our community, and it will reflect our values, beliefs, hopes, and aspirations. Together, we will create a portrait of the traits, skills, and competencies that we want to develop in our young people. Based upon initial conversations with our school leaders, we have identified 5 areas as building blocks for a survey. And these 5 building blocks are identified as academic preparation, cultural and global competencies, post-high school preparation, community engagement and leadership, and personal characteristics. Our graduate profile survey results and community input will further guide the development and the refinement of these categories. The timeline and steps that we will take are listed in this slide. This project started in September 2022 and will continue until April 2023. Step 1 is conducting a survey of our educational partners. All of our students, staff, and community members will be invited to participate in providing input. Step 2 is identifying a leadership group to organize this work. And step 3 involves scheduling leadership group planning meetings. Step 4 is a critical step as we conduct a series of community meetings with educational partners to review survey data and continue to gather information. The final step is to design the report and present it to the school board in April 2023. Thank you again to Dr. Asrani and the school board for your continued support. I am now ready to answer any questions that you might have about the graduate profile. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, I wanted to say that I got your survey today, and I filled it out. So anybody that's getting the survey, please fill it out as soon as you can. It was very interesting to see the questions and the challenges that are posed to our community. And I think it's a great step forward. Any other comments?
I would just ask Dr. Murray, what is our plan for distributing that survey? How are we going to get it out to the families?
It's coming out through email, and you all should have received your copy.
Okay.
I know that we'll be sending some hard copies over to DOBBINS and Yuba Feather so that we can send it to the communities where technology, and I think it's going to go to print, if not already been printed.
And then when we have our series of community meetings, we will be sharing out our survey results, and then we'll also be continuing to gather input through community conversations. So the survey is just step one for the information gathering, and then we'll continue. It's a whole process from there.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Any other questions?
I was impressed. I think this is a really cool thing. It's out of the box thinking. I'm excited. I can't wait.
Thank you.
Very
Just wait
cool.
until it's done.
Yeah, right. But I do have a question on an unrelated topic for our superintendent, if she could maybe provide the board with an update on the late start.
Hey, Dr. Murray.
Thank you.
The late start, yes, thank you for that question, Mr. Criddle. We were going to bring an update for the board, a resolution at the next board meeting. We did meet multiple times last year with our principals, with our Ed Services team, with our transportation team, and we went through multiple options of what could we do with the late start requirement that high schools start at 8:30, middle schools after 8 o'clock, and elementary schools are just kind of left there to fit into the schedule. And what we saw after we went through these levels of meetings is that no matter what we tried, our littlest babies would have to get up as early, maybe as 5:30, get ready, get to the nearest bus stop, and some buses were going to pick them up at 6:30 in the morning and get them to school. It doesn't mean elementary school was starting earlier. It just means the bus routes would have to adjust accordingly so that they could go back and pick up the middle schools and then go back, pick up the high schools. And so we just had a big meeting led by Mr. Trujillo about a month ago, I think, 3 weeks ago, at which we had Mr. Davis, thank you, Mr. Davis, and we had all our labor union leaders, representatives there, as well as transportation team, food services, and we kind of looked at every aspect of it, and what came out from that was that is just not the right thing to do for our community. It's just not what's going to work for us. We have a community that goes into the mountains and then down into the southern part of the Yuba River. And so we just kind of feel that this is not a good move for our district. So we have taken the opportunity to meet with Assemblyman Gallagher. Mr. Davis and Mr. Rasmussen and I met with him last week. We put that concept out to him and said, what if we don't do it? What if our district if this move is detrimental for our students? You know, we just can't proceed. And we were very surprised to hear that he agreed that that was not something that was good for rural districts like us and districts that have such a big footprint, again, up in the mountains and areas that bus services don't really reach very effectively. And so next week we will be bringing to a resolution that we will be declaring ourselves a rural district, and we would not be proceeding with this change of time. And I do want to give a shout out to my muter partner. I will have to call Angela out on this one, because she has continued to find a way that we can find the legal language to push this back, that we look at every option to push this back, and she really did say, let's start a grassroots movement that we don't want to do this. So when we met with the assemblyman, just took the chance to throw it out there, and once he said, we're going to support you, we feel we've got the coverage even politically to say that this is not good for our community, and we would like to bring a resolution to the board at the next board meeting with your support. It'll remain status quo till we are told we can't do it, and then we'll ask questions like, tell us why. I think sometimes we have to just do what's right for our children and stand. All the time we have to do what's right for our children, and sometimes we have to not do what we're told to do just because we're told to do it. It's on record now. I don't know if CD is hearing me.
Thank you, Dr. Israni. Now we're at 12.1, approval of the 9/13/22 regular board meeting minutes. Are there any corrections or additions to the minutes from the board? If not, do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Doug Criddle. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Hasty. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?
One abstention.
Abstain.
Oh, yeah, we have.
Abstain.
Sorry, Gary. It was Gary. Yeah. Oh, there's two abstains. Sorry. I don't know. Okay, now we're moving to 12.2, approval of the consent agenda items. Are there any items in the consent agenda that any of the board members wants to pull or have any comments on? If not, do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Gary Criddle. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Doug Criddle. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. Now we move to new business. The first item is 16.1, legal team selection process. Dr. Israni?
Thank you. At the direction of the board, we did fly an RFP, and we have received 3 wonderful candidates who are going to present to you today. They have been informed it's 10 minutes, and they'll make their presentation to you. It's not an action item for you, but this is a time to just listen, and then I think you will give us a direction. Okay.
Thank you. The first one is, I'm sorry if I pronounce it right, Lorenzo Smith? Yeah, Lozano. Thank you.
Right. Good evening. Thank you for having us tonight. It's a pleasure to be with all of you. My name is Megan Macy. I'm the office managing partner in our Sacramento office. And I have with me today part of our team, Junaid Halani, who works closely with me and other members of our team on facilities and business matters, Andrew Bland, who is one of our investigators and a labor and employment attorney, and Kyle Rainey, a partner in our firm who specializes in special education and student matters. Again, my name is Megan Macy, and as we were driving up here as a team today, I said, if there was one thing that you would want the board to know about us, what would it be? And Junaid chimed in, as he always does with his brilliance, and he said, well, it's easy. It's that we're responsive and that we care. And I was thinking about that and kind of what it means in terms of providing legal services. And I was also thinking about what Mr. Trujillo was talking about being student-centered. And I think our approach is about being client-centered and people-focused. And that means a couple of different things to us. One is that the growth and development of our team is really important because it shows up for our clients and for how we provide legal advice to our clients so you can serve your students. The other part of it is that we, as a team, want to be the communities that we serve, and one of the things that I read about your district is that you find strength through diversity, and that you have a shared commitment in public education. And that's the type of partnership that we want to provide in providing legal services to you as well. And there are a few different ways that we do that. Obviously, we have a ton of attorneys throughout the state who have expertise in all areas of education law. We have 110 attorneys in our state, and we have 30 attorneys in our Sacramento office. But it's about providing that local connection and having a relationship with each school district that we work with. And that's what our commitment would be to you. And that's part of the reason that this team is here speaking with you tonight. So I want to, for a minute, kind of pass it off to Kyle to share a little bit about the substance of our firm and add anything on. And then we are happy to answer questions that you might have about our team, for any members of our team, and about our firm. Thank you.
Thank you for having us here this evening. My name is Kyle Rainey. I'm a partner with Lozano Smith in Sacramento. I'm also the co-chair of our firm's special education practice group. And I really don't have a ton more to add other than what Megan has had to say. We are a law firm that is staffed with over 100 attorneys. We have, I think, 7 or 8 offices throughout the state at this point, 30 attorneys in Sacramento. We have a 24-hour rule that any time that our clients reach out to us, we have to get back to them within 24 hours. We have altogether hundreds of years of legal experience between all of our attorneys put together. And with that, you have access to every single document, memo, policy, anything that we've done throughout the years, so we can provide cost-effective legal services and hopefully not reinvent the wheel, so to speak. I was actually very pleased to see that there was some recognition of PBIS certificates here tonight. That's something that we tend to be at the forefront of. We provide a lot of training on PBIS and school discipline and other means of correction, and just the detrimental effect that taking students out of school and exclusionary school discipline has. So it was great to see that is something that Marysville is putting a spotlight on. We also offer client news briefs anytime new cases come out that we think that our clients should be aware of. We have podcasts. We have legal alerts anytime new laws are issued. We would very much appreciate the opportunity to bring all of that to bear for Marysville Joint. And we're available to take any questions that the board may have.
So I'll pause for any questions. If you have no questions, I'm happy to share a little bit more with the remainder of our time as well.
So I'm not sure if it's a question, maybe just a concern. You'd mentioned you would get back to a client within 24 hours. Seems like there's many times that we've been sitting and we need some advice in an hour. We needed advice 2 hours ago. Seems like 24 hours is a long time to try to wait to get some type of help. So is that a standard practice that you have, is 24-hour turnaround?
Thank you for asking that question. So that's a parameter. The reality, and I think the learning for everyone, particularly in the last 3 years where everything is moving at such a fast pace, the law is changing every moment, and everybody's reacting to an incredible amount of things, is that you are always going to be able to get in touch with someone in our office in Sacramento. And you are always going to have your administrative team, your board is always going to have access to an attorney. And I'll give an example of how this played out in real life just yesterday. I got a text message. I was in negotiations, and I got a text message from a client dealing with a serious matter. And because I was in negotiations and obviously focused on that, when I received it during the break, I was able to get immediately in touch with another of my partners who was also familiar with the client and the matter, and he was able to follow up with her within 30 minutes, and the matter was resolved. That's how we communicate as a team, and it's also part of the reason why we wanted to bring, four people here tonight to introduce, because we never want our clients to feel like they can't reach someone, and the personal relationship is terribly important in terms of, the lead and the contact and making sure that you have that relationship and the relationship with the board. But it is also so critical that you be able to get your answers, your questions answered immediately and timely.
The question I have is on your fee schedule. Is that published?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question? The fee schedule?
Your fee schedule.
So
is it published? I mean, is it just standard for, any district, or do you customize it for different size districts?
Yeah, thank you for that question. The fee schedule is our rate schedule for our educational agency clients, and is our current 2022-23 schedule.
Can we get a copy of that?
Yes, sir. The fee schedule is in our response to the request for proposals, and we're happy to follow up with an additional copy of that.
Okay, do we have those proposals? Okay. Okay. Sorry,
No, that's right. I'm happy to talk more about how it works if that's helpful to you. So I can just spend a couple of moments on that. So we have a different fee structure depending on the experience of the attorneys that you're working with. So from the associate level, it's $215 an hour up through our most senior partners, which are at $350 an hour. That's going to be the folks who are, who've been practicing law for 40 and 45 years.
Okay, thank you very much. Any other questions from the board?
Yeah, I think Kyle, is it Kyle? Yes. Yeah, I think Kyle, you kind of touched upon something I wanted to get more clarification on, and that was some potential training. We all know that most of the risks happen at 1,000 feet. And is there any particular trainings or suggested professional developments that we could implement from your firm at that level, i.e. principal, vice principal, to help reduce risk and potential litigation?
Sure. You name it, we provide it. I think that the best lawsuit is the one that is never filed against the school district, and I think the best way to prevent problems like that from happening is to build capacity with our staff and to provide training and to jump on those issues before they get out of hand. So I personally provide all sorts of special ed related trainings, student discipline trainings. I know we offer Brown Act training, everything under the sun that schools can be involved with, we provide trainings in those areas.
Thank you. And then the second question or last question would be, with special ed, are you seeing any new or different or indifferent trends that are going on, especially with the pandemic, or any new related stuff that you see in the future for special ed litigation?
Nothing that's of great outlook for school districts. We are obviously in the most litigious state in the union when it comes to special ed disputes. Most of what we're seeing right now is kind of the tail end of the distance learning complaints that students' attorneys are filing. They have to file them within 2 years of the date that they should be aware of their claims. So we're still kind of in the thick of those right now. And unfortunately, school districts, that was a tough time for everybody, for a lot of school districts. There are a lot of students who didn't necessarily receive what was in their IEPs for a little while. So we're still sorting through that, resolving those issues where we can, providing training on some of the resources that's available to provide compensatory education to students, learning loss, things like that. But yeah, the trends in California are pretty much on how they have been for a few years, with filings going up and so forth.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the board? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your time tonight. We are also going to leave you with a copy of our Brown Act handbook, which is one of the resources that we have that we were speaking about. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Proactive Legal.
Good evening, board members and administrators. Thank you. My name is Brian Bach. We've met some of you before. I'm here tonight as the founder and managing partner of Proactive Legal. We're lean, in self-chosen to be that way. Actually, interestingly, during COVID, because with the pandemic, challenges came opportunities, and one of the opportunities I saw was to do things a little differently. I've always been someone who thinks outside the box, and as a result, I decided to literally create a different type of firm. We do similar to the other firms, and frankly, I am honored to be here with esteemed colleagues, many of which I've worked with before, and frankly, they're all good choices. I'll tell you that right now. With me, by the way, is my regional associate. She's actually in Sacramento, Roxana Babai. And Roxana is new to law in the last year, and we should congratulate her, but not new to the practice of law in that she's been a paralegal for over a decade, if not longer, and she can talk a little bit about that, at high-level litigation and so forth. My partner, literally, Judith, couldn't be here tonight. She had a family obligation. My partner is also my wife, and family obligation, aka kids' football game, but in any event, we're all available all the time, and literally if you called her right now, she'd pick up at the football game, because that's how we operate. In fact, we used to have the 24 or the 48 or whatever rule it used to be. In fact, I'm old enough to remember that you would respond with a letter to a letter in a couple days, but no longer than a week. Nowadays, it's instantaneous. But the important part is you can't besmirch a client you're with to help a client who needs help, except I've seen clients do this, and so we do it too sometimes, which is the is it urgent rule. So what I literally do, and if you've ever seen, is I ask you, is it urgent? And if it's urgent, then we'll either, if it's truly exigent circumstance during COVID, we've had some situations, we had to forestall one situation for another, but usually it's like, we'll get back to you immediately. I grew up in the world of kind of similar, actually. My father was a sole practitioner in the little town of New York City, and he didn't have a cell phone or whatever, but he was available 24/7, and literally that's how I grew up, and that's how we practice. So a little bit about us, moreover, is we've been in business 2 years. We represent a host of school districts, big and small, and all over the state, and proudly so. Thanks to, again, in some ways, COVID, it's changed our practice. What I found was we were on Zoom and things like that almost 24/7, and so we no longer have that immediate need to be at Marysville, and frankly, the cost for you has dramatically gone down. So along those lines, just being on our own here, we are simply more efficient, less expensive, and frankly provide the same high quality of service, which I've heard from clients currently, some of which I think we have in your references. We work closely with our clients and with stakeholders. Now that is not necessarily all the time and every minute. I've heard from association here and so forth, but I will tell you that right now, that if we're brought on, not just for a project or something, but we're brought on to be general counsel, it's very important to build relationships with all stakeholders, and that would include associations and other parent groups and so forth. And given the opportunity, I have and always do, set up a meeting, obviously with district administration involved, and we do that before the problem. It's, again, part of our name, proactive, be proactive. I always say if you get called to bargain when you're 2 weeks from impasse, you've been called way too late, and frankly, you're not going to be able to solve a problem. You're only going to be able to get you through the situation. At this point, actually, I want to give Roxana just a few minutes, and then we can continue on and answer some questions. So.
Thank you, Brian. Good evening, Dr. Asrani, board members. Hope you're all doing well tonight. My name is Roxana Babai, and I'm an associate at Proactive Legal. And when I started off there, I was a senior paralegal, and during my time, I got licensed with the California State Bar, and I've continued my work with Brian, working very closely with Brian and Judith, and just working alongside with them has been a great experience. I've worked on many matters, labor relations, employee discipline, employee dismissals, public records, grievances, COVID-19 issues that have came up, you know, several things along the way. But what really I want to, you know, go back to is my 12 years of experience as a paralegal. I started, you know, back in 2010. It's actually almost 13 years now. And it's just kind of building from there. Over the last 4 years, I've been specializing in e-discovery, which is electronic discovery, and basically the whole process, the collection, preservation, review, and production of this electronic data. And I know you guys are all aware of this too. After COVID, this is the direction we're going. Everything's electronic, everything's digital. So what I've been doing over the last 4 years is really trying to connect that with the legal world. And that's the direction we are going. Everything, you know, things are changing, rules are changing, and we want to stay up to date with all of that. So that's one thing I pride myself on too, is I try to stay up to date. You know, what are the new case law, what new case law is coming out that has to do with e-discovery and things like that, court rules, just trying to stay up to date with everything. Thank you.
In sum, we're really privileged, honored, and pleasantly surprised, actually, to be in a group where RFPs, oftentimes you get the 6 name brands or what have you, and to be among them is an honor, but also an opportunity to provide something different. So, you know, in the end, if there is a detailed facilities situation, it's not an area that I'm going to tell you I'm an expert in, but in the end, we always get to that person or persons, whether it's consultants sometimes instead of lawyers. And the reality is we work well currently with other counsel from other firms, usually boutique type of firms like ourselves. That being said, I think that's a great opportunity for the district to have this process, to have a general counsel, if you will, and frankly, a general counsel is just that, someone who can generally handle almost anything and give advice, but also be able to say, you know what, here's an opportunity where you're going to need someone more specialized. But I've been doing this a long, long time, and I can tell you that's not the common. It's more common to have, you know, day-to-day issues, whether it be governance, labor employment, you know, student services, things like that, and then, of course, you know, there are those particulars. On that note, I will leave you for any questions. We have about 2 minutes, unless you need longer, and I didn't want to take all your time.
Are there any questions from the board?
Yes, I have one. Hi, Brian. Thank you for sharing that and the thinking outside of the box, the boutique firm. I appreciate that. You did allude to what I had. My question basically was, how do you approach a case that is outside your area of expertise? And being a boutique firm, how does that drive up or looking at the cost overall for representation? And I know that's kind of that's probably a very convoluted question, but
no, it's a great question.
Okay,
is it going to cost me more to use you?
Well, rightfully so. Yes, I mean
the answer is no. In the sense that, I mean, just looking, you asked a question about the rate sheets. Our rates are public record, and they're public, like, sometimes you can even Google and find, other people's and so forth. I think we're commensurate with all the other firms, and we're more than happy and willing to work with other firms. And frankly, I don't know if this district still has other firms involved, because sometimes even though you do an RFP, it doesn't necessarily sweep the house. And we've been working very successfully in other districts with others. I will admit, coming here tonight, we're honored and pleased that we were selected, but if your biggest issues are building the new high school, then you're probably going to go with another firm. But if your real issues are, how do I handle labor, how do I handle the situations that are more human related, if you will, then I think we're a great alternative.
Well, the one question we have is, as a general counsel, do you use an hourly rate or do you use an annual rate?
Great question. So yes and yes and yes. So the answer is it can be hourly, but it gets expensive. And as a result, I have always offered clients either literally a flat rate for the entirety of, let's say, an area, or more recently, I've created something that's kind of like the, it's still in the lab, but it's coming out in a couple of districts called fractional general counsel. And basically, you can hire us based on your needs, because every district should have general counsel, but we can count on our fingers the ones that do, and I can't go through tonight why they do or don't, but someday. But the reality is we would do it on a, let's say, per day, or per even some hours, because we could have boots on the ground here, or frankly, boots on Zoom. And what I've done recently is attended cabinet for some districts, and that usually is very successful to then help them, and frankly help them say, this doesn't need to go to a law firm, or if it does, this is high-level complex litigation, you need to perhaps use this firm or this person at that firm. So, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Thank you, everyone.
Have a good night.
Now we have Atkinson, Adelson, Loya, Rude, and Romo.
Close enough. Mr. President, can we have permission to approach the dais? My colleague Mike has some materials we'd like to hand out before we get started. Go ahead.
Thank you.
All right, tell me when to start. Whoever's keeping track of the time. All right, I'll just start. Good evening. My name is Scott Holbrook. I'm a partner with the law firm of Atkinson, Annelson, Loya, Rude, and Romo. I've been involved in education now for 32, 33 years, the first 12 years as a teacher and counselor in public and private schools, and for the last 20 years as a school lawyer. So I know what it's like to implement the lesson plan. I know what it's like to break up a fight, a few fights. We want to thank you for this opportunity. We're honored to be considered amongst the mix of other attorneys here that are all fine attorneys in their own right. We deal with a number of the education law firms out there on a regular basis, so we're happy to see that we're in the mix with these fine individuals as well. We do have a PowerPoint. I'm not sure who we asked to cue it. And I will also point out, you can keep the lights on. Thank you. I will also point out that a copy of the PowerPoint is in your portfolio. I just want to bring to your attention that, our firm started out in 1979 with 5 lawyers. Fast forward, 40 some odd years later, and we have 240 attorneys. That makes us the largest education law firm in the state. We have 8 offices throughout the state. We work with over 500 to 600 public educational agencies throughout the state. We're experts in our area. We are a full-service law firm. We can handle every need that your school district may have with regard to the law. I also want to bring to your attention, though, that a lot of what we do is proactive. A lot of what we do is training. They say an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. In that portfolio, you'll see a handout that lists a number of examples of the different types of trainings that we provide to our clients. Frisk training. We actually wrote the book on frisk training. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it. I know this district did make an order a couple years back, so I know that the district is familiar with the manual. It's a great tool for administrators to utilize in progressive discipline, but in also to helping their employees make corrections in their performance to make them better employees. We do a number of webinars regularly. We take a proactive approach with our clients to help them navigate the legal minefields that they may be faced with. And those types of trainings and proactive efforts on our part help our clients in reducing their legal fees because it makes them better prepared to deal with issues before they arise, to make sound decisions and to work with the board to help them in making sound decisions before entering into some action that could potentially result in high legal fees on the back end trying to fix a problem. So that's something important that I want to bring to your attention. I know we have a short bit of time, so I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to my colleague, Kathy Mayola. Kathy is a former general counsel with the California School Board Association. She also leads up our special education practice in the Sacramento office. Go ahead, Kathy.
Thank you. Good evening, board members. I just want to go through the PowerPoint in terms of the firm background that Scott already did, and our practice in California with our offices all across the state, as well as the type of legal services we provide. So this is a long list, and then there's a second slide with the second list. Obviously, I think what sets us apart not only is the relationships and our responsiveness, but our deep bench, illustrated by the attorneys I have here tonight. When you hire our firm, you hire colleagues who love working with each other, who who are team players, who help each other out, as well as having a direct contact with your primary counsel. My clients know that they have my cell phone. They can email me, they can text me, they can reach me at any time of the night because I do work 24/7. Just as you, because school doesn't close. Yes, I sleep. Yeah, it's true. But so do you, right? So the point is that when you hire this firm, you hire this deep bench. We have experts in all of these fields. Legal for the Brown Act, which I give presentations on all the time, H&R, labor and employment, special education, the IDEA, 504, the facilities. So any question you have as a school district, we can answer. And I'll turn it back over to Scott.
So since we still have some time, I'm going to ask each member of our team that's here tonight just to share who they are and a brief description of their practice area. Go ahead.
Good evening, Dr. Asrani and board members. My name is Jackie Hang. I've been an education attorney for almost 6 years now, practicing for a total of 7. I practice mostly in Title IX work, along with my colleague behind me here, Anna Miller. We are a group of attorneys in the firm who continually monitor the developments of Title IX, how that is constantly changing over time. And we, as Scott mentioned earlier, we take a proactive approach in providing the training necessary for our clients to understand what they need to do in terms of legal compliance, but also how to anticipate some of the issues that are coming ahead. Some of the other practice areas that I work in are student discipline, personnel, board governance, a lot of investigation work as well. There's been an increase in the number of complaints that have been filed over the years, and we are there from beginning to end, whether we are investigating the complaints directly or helping administrators navigate that type of investigation internally as well. And that kind of covers all of the practice areas that I do. I also do a lot of charter work as well with Scott, but I want to give all of my colleagues a chance to introduce themselves as well.
Hi, my name is Anna Miller. I'm based out of the Sacramento office. I've been an education attorney for 15 years. I actually went to law school to do education law. As Jackie said, I'm one of the members of the Title IX team, and that means I do a lot of investigations and I do a lot of training. So I may do the investigation myself, or I'm assisting someone who is doing an investigation. And again, or the whole plethora of trainings. We have compliance training, and then within that we do different subsets of types of training for people who play different roles in the Title IX process. I also do a lot of leave work, and that really takes up most of my time because we're so heavy in investigations right now. Thanks.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Deanna Solina. Before coming to the firm, I was Vice President of Human Resources at San Joaquin Delta College, my alma mater. And so I come really with a specialty of human resources, all aspects of personnel, hiring, employment-related matters. The one thing I really love is my opportunity now to work with lots of HR professionals, helping them be a think partner, working with them, problem-solving with them, and engaging, interacting to help go through the process of collaborating with all of our labor groups, those types of process, and really being just another partner for them, a think partner and a problem solver. All the areas of HR with risk, insurance, retirement, benefits, leaves, that's my fun.
Hey, good evening. I'm Mike Ambrose. I've been an attorney for 12 years. I just joined the firm this year. I spent the last 6 years as Associate General Counsel for California School Board Association. Like Scott, I started my career as a teacher. I was a first grade teacher in the Bay Area for years, which always informs my practice. I do labor and employment, investigations, general education law, and whatever Scott and Kathy tell me to do.
Good evening, Dr. Esrani, board members. My name is June Paulino. I have been an attorney for about 7 years, about 3 or 4 years as an education attorney. Prior to becoming an education attorney, I was a plaintiff's employment lawyer, so I brought cases from pre-litigation all the way up to trial and appeal. So I know how to assess a case, and I know how to value a case. I think that's really helpful in terms of the other side, right? In terms of understanding what management has to do to assess a case, value a case, and prevent a case from happening. So in this current capacity, I do personnel work as well as labor and employment litigation, and a bulk of my practice is in investigations, mostly in discrimination and harassment.
You know, it dawned on me, I didn't share my areas of practice. My primary area of practice is labor negotiations, so I'm a collective bargainer. I sit at numerous tables throughout Northern California. Primarily traditional bargaining, but I also do interest-based bargaining, and I'm also a certified trainer in helping tables try out the interest-based bargaining approach. It can be very effective if both sides are interested in pursuing that. I also want to point out to you that we also provided some sample alerts that we send out to our clients, going along with the proactive theme that we have. We try to stay on top of things as the law is constantly changing. We try to stay on top of things as they occur, and we put alerts out regularly. I think there was several hundred alerts we put out during the pandemic, trying to stay on top of things and trying to help our clients navigate everything as it was arising. But there are about 4 or 5 different samples of alerts there for you to take a look at, just so you can get an idea of how we try to help our clients. You know, we make a strong push to work with our administrators to help them be more effective administrators and to be more effective administrators for you, the board. We appreciate this opportunity and thank you. And if you have any questions, please feel free.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions from the board members? The one question we have is, do you provide a single contact lawyer to the school district?
The way that we when we start with a new client, we will start with a primary contact that will work with the individual and help to relay to the individual attorney with the expertise in the area. And then once that relationship is set up between the administrator, for example, if there was a facilities issue and your director of facilities needed assistance, the call would come to me. I would put that individual in contact with our facilities expert. Once they make the contact and they feel comfortable communicating with each other directly, then they continue that relationship.
Do you have, as we asked the last law firm, as a general counsel rate, or is it all hourly rate?
We have an hourly rate, and it's listed in our response to the RFP. We try to be very competitive. The feedback that we get from our clients is that we are very competitive in the market. We're not closed to considering other arrangements to work with clients. But we do have a fixed rate, and we try to be competitive and consistent with our other clients in the area.
Any other questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now, we'd like to move into the evaluation process. I just wondered, with the board members that are here tonight, who would like to join me? We need about 3 people. I would be one. I'd like to see if there's a couple of you that have the time to evaluate these proposals and to make a recommendation to Dr. Asrani. And then we would have some sort of decision, let's say, the first meeting in October. Any volunteers? Okay, Doug Criddle? Do I have a third one? Yeah. Okay. So our committee will be Doug Criddle, Allison Hasty, and myself. And we will look at your proposals as you presented, and we will consult with the superintendent. That will then be shared with the rest of the board about what our...
It has to come to the board.
Yeah, it has to come back for us, to the whole board, to approve. But we certainly appreciate your endeavors to be here. We know the cost of gas has not gone down, and your time is very valuable. So we really appreciate your application for our legal services. So thank you very much.
We have the applications that they submitted for the RFPs that we could get to all the board members?
That is correct. They're all printed and
Oh, okay.
little conference room. I'll be able to hand it to you.
Thank you.
It's printed and in the conference room, and I can give it to all of you.
Okay, so, thank you. Good evening, Board, and Dr. Asrani. So last meeting, we talked about revising the Educator Effectiveness Grant. It was taking the entire funding and putting it towards 3 areas. Hiring our instructional coaches, providing our teacher induction program through TSIP, and also our new teachers and support staff workshop and system of supports, which is our teacher pathways. And this is the second read, and I'm asking tonight for the board to approve the changes to the revisions to the Educator Effectiveness Block Grant. Thank you.
Ms. Stiegel?
Good evening. Once again, Angela Stiegel, President for the Marysville Unified Teachers Association. And despite the fact that I have a great deal of respect for Amy Stratton, I do stand here this evening asking the board actually to not approve this revised plan. For one, the original plan that you approved last year actually had teacher input, had input from other groups as well. This one does not. Additionally, I believe that part of what is included in the packet anyway says that this is to bring this plan into alignment with our LCAP. I can tell you very easily, just sitting here during the board meeting tonight with an iPad in my hand, went through the plan that we had input on last year that is out there is aligned to the ed code for this grant program. Also, I just went through our LCAP again, which as an aside, we had very, very little input in the LCAP either. But you can actually align anything that was in the original plan with our LCAP as well. So I believe that the bigger dilemma, the bigger push to try to get this through tonight is so that the district then can take the money that they put towards TSIP, which has gone on for years now. You can actually take that and not have to spend it out of your general fund. You can plop $823,000 worth of that into an educator effectiveness grant instead. There were 11 different line items that your teachers and administrators and even classified staff had input into last year that have now been reduced to 3. Additionally, I will tell you that besides the $823,000 for TSIP, which should be coming out of a different pot of money, there's $680,000 for a new teacher pathway program that there's additionally a completely separate grant for. So again, there is no need to take $680,000 out of this grant for it. You had teachers who worked hard last year, and despite everything they had going on, showed up to at least 2, possibly 3 input sessions on this. You had a teachers union who showed up and met with the people who were putting this before you last year as well. And the teachers union got up in support of that program or that proposal last year, that grant plan. And so I'm not sure who's just not doing their homework if this goes through tonight, but I will guarantee you that if the board puts this through tonight, based on the fact that this is suddenly going to make this LCAP aligned, that you're going to have a number of teachers who are not exactly going to be believing that, because we can look up an LCAP 2, we can look up Ed Code 2, and I have had plenty of training in the last 6 months on the Educator Effectiveness Grant. So I hate to say this because it sounds like it would be counterintuitive for the teachers to be asking for you to say no to a revision on an Educator Effectiveness Grant, but that's exactly what we're doing here this evening. There are ways for you to get input that will make this better if that's what you so desire, but bringing forth a revision that had 0 input from teachers in your teachers union, much less any other group, is really not a helpful practice.
Amy, can you address that?
Yes, one of the things that I discovered when I took over the Educator Effectiveness Grant and working with the LCAP, there are some items in the Educator Effectiveness Grant that were not properly aligned. For example, one of the items was the GLAD training for teachers, for our second language learners. And one of the things that was to help pay for the teachers' hourly rate for the GLAD instructional strategies. That is an absolutely 100% perfect Title III expenditure. The moment we start taking and paying for GLAD strategies not out of Title III, we can no longer put that back into Title III. That becomes a supplanting issue. And so there were just some items inside of the Educator Effectiveness Grants that really belong in our title programs. And to take them out of the title programs puts us at a point long-term that we can no longer put those items back in. And that was also one of the concerning items as I was looking through it, that we just have to be careful and aware that we can't supplant, we can't take things that belong in our federal programs and take it out and then later put it back in. And so we just have to make sure that when we put things on paper, that we're thinking through long-term the impact of what we're putting there and making sure that it serves us and what we need to serve it for in the future.
Well, the question I have is that what I'm hearing from Ms. Stiegel is she doesn't feel like she had adequate participation in this process. And the question is, why not?
When I looked back at the LCAP, when I looked to see how we're working on budgeting and how things are coming through the LCAP, it just wasn't aligned. And so the question came down to, do we align it to LCAP, which is what our funding formula is for the year? And so that was kind of where it came from, is to make sure that we were doing what we said we were doing in our larger document.
Dr. Asrani, can you help us with this?
Did you want to? I don't know how that's public comments.
I think the question comes down to how much input our teachers felt they had and how much input we felt they needed to have. And I think it always boils down to it's never enough, or maybe that's what maybe Angela's struggle is and Amy's struggle is if they met together sufficiently. But what I did hear from Amy and what I'm trying to interpret is 2 legal points. One that she explained very elegantly is that there was the GLAD expenditure, which is for EL teachers to teach the EL strategies. If that is put into general budget, once it's put into general budget, If you move it back, it's called supplanting, which means you cannot do it. So she identified an area of weakness, and it was a pretty big budget item, I'm thinking.
It was 84,000, I think.
So actually, if I'm able to speak,
Let me finish my thought. So I think that's where we are, is between whether there was sufficient or not. I would give back to Amy and say if she wants to go back to the table and do another round, that's fine, unless we're missing a deadline. Are we missing a deadline?
No.
Are you comfortable going back to the table and giving it a read? Then I think that's good. Is that okay with you, Mr. Trujillo? I think if Angela has something to say, there's no harm done there. We're okay with it. But once it comes back next time, we just want to make sure we approve it, because it has to get spent in the right way. Okay.
Go ahead, Angela.
I was just simply going to say that if, in fact, the dollars were going for the PD, for something like GLAD or for EL, that would absolutely be true. What was originally in the plan was for the money to be paid for subs, because that's the dilemma we're having, is we did not have any training or any time available for subs. So for teachers to be out of their classroom to get this training, there would have to be money for substitutes. And so that's what's in the original plan, not the actual paying for the PD itself, which Ms. Stratton is absolutely right, should be coming out of Title III, because that's federal dollars, and exactly what she just said is spot on. However, what was delineated in the original plan was for substitutes, the pay for substitutes for teachers to be involved in those trainings, not the actual PD itself. And so if it's possible to actually bring this back, I think that's going to be a much better idea, because I will tell you, this is the last thing that I want to be coming to the board trying to tell you to vote no on. This is not exactly a pleasant part of my evening, and this is not something that I really want to be battling on. I would much rather that this comes forward, and both teachers and administrators, classified, the district as well, I would much rather this was the collaborative process that it was last year instead of the one that it is right now. Thank you.
Sounds like a plan.
I just want to make a comment. I think, and I think Angela will agree, Amy is probably one of the most collaborative people I've ever met. So if it was not enough, we want to go back, do one more round, Amy. Thank you for your leadership. We appreciate it.
So what is the pleasure of the board? Do we want to table this motion or vote it down?
I had a question for Angela real quick. Both of you have really, really amazing knowledge in what's going on, and I think that the collaboration, as Dr. Faust said, that's really what we should be doing, what we can be doing. Is this acceptable to you? Because I didn't hear that. Is the collaboration and going back acceptable to what you were saying?
Right. The going back and being able to meet with Amy and collaborate with Amy to bring something back that is a bit more of a marriage between what we had previously and what the district may be after now would be helpful. I also think that having all the cards on the table as to what can be taken out of which grants now, because there are so many grants that are going on now. I believe that's also part of the issue or part of the problem. Right. There are so many grants, block grants, and there are so many things with similar names also. You have educator effectiveness, and you have educational learning or expanded learning opportunities, and then you have teacher pathways and teacher pipeline, and so we have so many things that sound similar, but this one in particular, there are so many things that are specific to educators and getting educators additional training. There are so many things that are specific to our students, things like trauma-informed practices, UDL, restorative practices, those types of things.
Your point's made. I agree. I think, knowing the two of you, I think you could come together and agree upon a set of norms, okay? And get the problem solved. Are you guys in agreement with that?
Oh, yeah. That would be the preference.
Then I would make the motion that we table this.
Second.
Yeah. Thank you, ladies.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. Thank you, Amy. Public hearing to approve the resolution 2022-23/13, availability of textbooks and instructional materials. Amy?
Yes, I'd like to ask the board to approve the resolution for the availability of textbooks and instructional materials. All of our students in the district have access to online curriculum. We might have a few holes still where the publishers are having some delays in their curriculum and some supply chain issues, but every single student has access to at least an online curriculum. And when I talk about small pockets, I'm talking Arboga has social studies curriculum for 8th grade, and our ELD class, our level A, has books that won't be arriving until November. But other than that, to my knowledge, everybody else has print as well as the online. And also, we have tracking numbers for all of those things that are missing. They should be here soon.
So this is a public hearing. Are there any questions from the board? Is there any comments from the audience?
My one question as a parent would be, if my child was in that school and where there's no textbook, what are they doing now?
They have online resources. The textbook is online. Yeah. The online resources make us compliant.
The ebook?
Yeah.
Is there a potential issue with accommodations with the students so that it would have a textbook? As a planner, is that?
So like I said, the one hole that I'm aware of is social studies, and I believe that we have tracking on it. It should be here like in the next week. It was, in that particular case, we did send off the PO in time and all of that. It sat with the publisher or the rep in her email for a month before she sent it on to her, to be processed. And so we've had a few problems with that particular publisher doing things like that. And so Anna has been great about tracking down. We had our high school math curriculum. The poor Anna, she was calling people daily, and she finally had to get pretty aggressive with the publishers. And come to find out, our math curriculum, they are so short of staff, they haven't pulled any books for the entire state of California to send out. And so this one company is a smaller firm, and she made them pull it, and they got expedited shipping for free. So we've been doing everything we can, but the publishers, quite frankly, they've had some serious supply chain issues. So,
if I may clarify, if I heard Mr. Criddle correctly, I think your question was accommodations in the absence of textbooks in classrooms?
Correct.
Are the teachers printing out copies?
Yes, they're doing what they're doing everything they can to make sure kids have what they need. But we really should be, the last bit should be coming in anytime now. But again, the fact that everybody has electronic access does make us compliant.
Thank you, Amy.
Are there any other questions from anyone in the room? Then do I hear a motion to close the public hearing?
Motion to close.
Motion to close by Ms. Hasty. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Gary Criddle. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. Now we are approved the resolution 2022-23/13, availability of textbooks and instructional materials. Are there any questions for Amy? If not, do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Ms. Hasty. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Randy Rasmussen. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, Amy.
Thank you, Amy. Now we're at 18.1, approve the tentative agreement between MJUSD and CSEA number 648 for the 2020-21 contract negotiations. Do we have anybody to comment?
Dr. Simon's actually online and available to speak to this.
Thank you, Brian. Can you hear me? Everybody can hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hopefully. Okay, thank you. So this is a tentative agreement and the accompanying AB 1200 documents for a off-schedule 4% payment to CSEA Chapter 648. Those are our preschool teachers. We are catching up with negotiations with that group, and we'll soon be negotiating 21-22. This is the same or similar increase that was agreed upon and approved for other represented groups in the district.
Are there any questions for Dr. Simon? If not, do I hear a motion?
Make a motion to approve the tentative agreement between MJUSD and CSEA 648.
We have a motion by Randy Rasmussen. Do I hear a second? Second by Doug Criddle. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. Now we're at 18.2, approve the tentative agreement between MJUSD and CSEA number 326 for the 2021-22 contract negotiations.
Yeah, so this is a tentative agreement covering a little bit of language and compensation for CSEA 326, which are primarily our para-educators. This is an agreement for a 5% on-schedule increase, retroactive to July 1, 2021, similar increase that was Me-Too'd for other represented groups.
Do we have any questions for Dr. Simon? If not, do I hear a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the tentative agreement between MJUSD and CSEA 326.
Do I hear a second? Second by Gary Criddle. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. Now we have 18.3, approve the job description and position of college and career specialist.
So this is a job description up for your approval under the direction of the Director of College and Careers. This person would organize college and career information materials, be a bridge between students, staff, and parents. It's a vital position to facilitate and foster a college-going culture in our district. It's a supervisory position that will fall under that Director of College and Careers.
Are there any questions for Dr. Simon? If not, do I hear a motion?
Can I make a comment?
Yeah.
This is a grant-funded position. It's paid from the A through G grant, and there's no impact on general funds.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion to approve the job description and position for the college and career specialist.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Hasty. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. Now we're at 18.4, approve the job description and position of network and information security engineer.
And
Brian?
Dr. Simon, I will jump in on this one if that's okay.
You bet.
Okay. I've got a brief presentation actually before this. It's been a very interesting month when it comes to education technology. So I'll give it just a second here for this to pop up. All right. Thank you very much, Russell. So, cybersecurity and education with a focus on MJUSD. Dr. Israni and I were able to, can you do next slide for me? Because it's not going. Thank you. We sat in on a meeting of superintendents earlier, or actually last week, and there was a presentation by the Chief Technology Officer of San Mateo County Office of Education, and then another one by Los Angeles Unified Superintendent, because in the last month, LA Unified got hit with ransomware. And in the last year and a half or so, San Mateo also did. And they were sharing their experiences and the things that they learned and what's going on. This particular slide actually came from the Chief Technology Officer of the San Mateo County Office of Ed. Top 5 reasons cybersecurity should be a priority for K-12 entities. First of all, the liability. There's a ton of it. We are responsible for so many things and so much information, so much personal information. The legal requirements. We have, especially in California, the data privacy laws for student information that have come out in California are some of the strictest you will find anywhere. And so it's very, very important. It just makes it even more critical that we keep that information secure. Our professional reputation. Look, you know, LA Unified does great things, but now they got hit with the ransomware, and everybody knows it. And I can tell you that there are people like me standing up in school boards all across the country saying, LA Unified gets hit with more resources than everyone's at risk. The teaching and learning, when we get hit, perfect example with these two organizations, everything shuts down. When you get hit with a ransomware, everything shuts down. The computers that our teachers use every day to teach our kids, we're not turning those on. They're not on the network. It really, truly is an individually hit every single device in the entire district to scan them before we can turn it on. Everything kind of comes to a stop if you get hit. And then the last, the student digital records, is similar to what I said before. The laws in California, and it's why I brought to you, to the board in the past, the California data privacy agreements that we sign and a number of districts throughout the state use to make sure that our contracts with all of our different application vendors, they guarantee the privacy and the security of their student information as well. Because in today's world, we don't all have it here with the cloud and everything and all of the applications we use. It's out there, and so it's really important that we have all of those agreements in place. Next slide, please. All right, there we go. So, top 5 threats, another one from Lori Owen's presentation. Top 5 threats for schools. Number 1 is phishing. We've seen that here. We've had it on numerous occasions where someone has jumped into the online staff directory and pretended to be a principal or even a superintendent. The common one that we get is a principal or appearing to be a principal will send an email to staff asking for iTunes cards. We've gotten that one a few times. The distributed denial of service, that is when you get, in essence, we get the pipe, we'll just say our bandwidth is this big, okay? And there's so much data I can throw through it. The DDoS is you get 10 million devices somewhere and they all decide to start throwing data traffic at a school district all at one time. And the pipe can't handle it. And so it ends up just blocking everything and shutting everything down. Data breaches are scary. It's the ability for someone to get in and access some of that private information, both employees and student information. Ransomware, I've talked about in the past. Ransomware, what they do is they come in, they encrypt your stuff, and they make it so you don't have access to your own files. And then they say, if you give us X amount of dollars, we'll give you the key to decrypt. Luckily, in our particular case, we have, every night we have offline backups, so we take a backup every night, and it's on tape that gets ejected and is not part of the network, so we would have the ability to go back at least a day, but it doesn't stop the fact that they would still be there. And what they're doing now is not only trying to give you access back to your information, but saying if you don't pay us, then we're going to leak it to others, as opposed to just trying to get the money to give it back. And then the Internet of Things vulnerabilities, that's an interesting one. I don't know if anyone heard about the Target data breach that happened a few years ago, or actually probably 18 months ago. So it actually came through a non-Target employee, but an actual HVAC employee. And we've got all of our thermostats now are connected to the internet. Everything is connected to the internet now. And so those things are becoming targets coming through the computer system that may be on a vendor that's logging into their thermostat to manage it, and something goes through there. So that's what the Internet of Things is. It's all the different devices that might be connected to an internet. So next slide, please. All right. So we have been, and we will continue to, do everything we can to keep all of us, the information and everything, our daily teaching, we do everything we can to keep that secure and safe. Some of the things, just to throw some numbers out there just to see what we are doing as a district. We've got 23 school sites, we've got 21 routers. When we have 23 school sites, what I'd like to say is think of us as a private company with 23 remote offices. We may be one public school district, but each of those remote offices or each of those school campuses is an entirely separate entity and has to be handled and managed as such. We've got 244 switches, Cisco switches district-wide. We've got wireless controllers that actually control our over 660 wireless access points that are out there. We've got 41 servers hosted just here at the district office, another 35 servers, security camera servers that are out at the school sites. We've got over 12,000 Chromebooks, 1,400 computers, over 11,000 users. Some of the things we use to keep everyone safe and to keep us all working. LiveNX is a Cisco product for network monitoring. Our Airwave does our wireless management and monitoring. Lightspeed is our content filter for all of our Chromebooks. When we went to distance learning, it was because of our E-rate dollars, we were required to filter those devices even when they left our campuses. And so every time you turn on one of our Chromebooks, you're going to be filtered from it, or the students will be filtered and have inappropriate content removed and not available. Our Palo Alto is a device we use. It actually has numerous functions. It's our firewalls. We've got redundant systems. It's a URL filter for our on-premise, like our computers that are on campus, not just the Chromebooks. It does our virtual private network, our VPN, DNS. You can see everything there. Sophos is our antivirus. SolarWinds is. So we do a whole lot to keep everybody safe. Okay, we really, really do, and we work really, really hard at it. The reason I'm standing before you tonight is because if you can go to the next slide, and if you are able to zoom in on that at all and make it a little bit bigger, and then kind of scroll left and right. I did a comparison. Go top left corner for me. Thank you. I did a comparison of us to some of our nearby districts, and I put the schools and the approximate enrollment. I would tell you on the tech side that the number of sites matters more than the number of kids, simply because it's managing all the same hardware. We've got 23 schools. If you go across the board there, Russell, 16 schools, and I did a comparison of the positions we have and the salaries that they make compared to what's going on in other districts. You'll see, like, if you go all the way across, you'll see at Rockland Unified, they've got 3 people that are very well paid doing the job with a fewer number of schools doing the same job that I've got 1 person doing now for a lot less money. We have fallen behind in being competitive. Now, I've been very, very, very fortunate to have very low turnover on my staff. My staff has done a wonderful job, and they've stayed with me for years and years and years. But I am before you today asking for a little bit of help with this new position. If you can go down to the bottom left for me, what I've done here is you'll see that this is the number of staff reporting to the directors of each of these departments. We have 14. If you go to Yuba City, they've got 22. I think that's Roseville with 12, but that's only 9 school sites. That there is Chico with 21, and you've got Rockland with at least 21 with fewer school sites. We're doing everything we can, and I feel like we've done a pretty good job. My staff is just the best staff. I can never praise them enough. But I am here today asking for a little bit of help with a new position, because all of those things that we're doing is becoming more and more advanced, more and more complicated, and therefore taking more and more time and higher skill levels. And so that's why I'm here today requesting this position.
I'd like to, I don't know if when I stepped out to take a call, if you made this comment, but we are a self-contained school district. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah,
please?
so it's funny, in that particular regard, we're kind of like LA Unified. I came up here from San Diego County Office of Ed, and when I got here, I said, we're actually a lot like San Diego Unified. You'd think no, because they're huge, but we're a fiscally independent school district. What does that mean? Well, most of the school districts our size in the entire state, they do their payroll and they do a number of their other services through their county office of education. We don't. We print all of our checks here. So every check that goes out gets printed. The work that we do with the payroll office, we do it all internally here. We're fiscally independent, which means it's Dr. Azrani's name on the bottom of the checks as opposed to Mr. Revelis. So it adds even a further complication, and to be quite honest, higher stress because of that. But at the same time, we take that seriously, and we wouldn't change it for the world. But it's just one more thing that we have to make sure we're always aware of and always prepared for.
I was just going to say thank you for that, but can you talk a little bit about the firewall? Usually when a school county office of education provides that additional layer of service is additional firewalls. Am I right in that? And
so
for
our internet service provider, we actually It's part of the K-12 network, the high-speed K-12 network in the state of California. We actually get free internet service provider service from our county office of ed. So we have a large, right now, 4 gig pipe that goes to our county office of education. And that's free. They have a firewall, yes, and they have actually, through the K-12 network, they have some really great anti-DDoS, denial of service abilities on that. That doesn't stop us, though, from having our own as well. And so, as I mentioned there, we've got Palo Alto, which is one of the leading firewalls out there. We've got redundant systems, so we have a failure on one, we immediately will pick up on the next. And so we've got our own firewall. We keep up to date. We make sure that that, more than anything, is up to date and always working. It's just huge. It tracks every single packet of data that comes in and goes out. We keep an eye on it. We are monitoring that 24/7. We've got alerts that come to us at all times of day and night. If we see anything, we do everything we can to make sure that we are completely protected. Yes, we get some from the county office as well too, but it's really important to me that we make sure, I don't want to rely on somebody else to keep our information safe, so we want to make sure we're doing that ourselves.
So the question arises as to, has there been more activity than you've seen in the past 2 or 3 years of breaking into any system, but school system?
Schools have become a target for sure. There was actually just in the last couple of weeks, based off after the LA Unified, and I actually had put it, if you had a chance to read the Friday communique, I put in some information in there too, but there was an alert sent out by Department of Homeland Defense. They have it's ISAC, Internet Security and Advisory Council, that put it out, identifying school districts as currently one of the most and I believe I actually mentioned it in the agenda item now they say, but we are becoming one of the most common targets because in a lot of cases we don't always have the same resources as others do, and so we become an easy target. And we've got, it's not just employee information that you're going to get in most private sector things. We've got student information too. So we've got both sides. And so we are becoming a very big target. And it's not just school districts. We've been hit locally. Yuba County got hit just a year ago. They got hit because somebody made a movie that had the name Yuba County in it, and somebody on the other side of the world decided it'd be funny to see if they could get into Yuba County because they saw the name of that movie. So I can tell you in the conversation that Dr. Azrani and I were watching with the other superintendents and the chief technology officer, it's becoming more and more, the phrase is becoming more and more of, it's not if, it's when.
So what would you expect the security person to do?
So a lot of the same stuff that's happening now, managing all of those systems, but what it would do is provide more people to do it. As I said, Rockland has 3 people doing what we've got 1. I'm asking for 2 now. In essence, it's not going to replace a system, a person, and it's not taking anything away from OE3. This is a new supervisory level position that will then allow us to bring another person on board to help manage all these systems that we currently have running.
Within the budget that we know of, can we afford this?
So this is so important to me that I am absorbing this into my current technology budget and not asking for any additional costs. It's that important, and so I'm not actually asking to increase our budget at all on that. We will work around that and make sure it happens. It's that important. What's that? I'm sorry.
I mean, we were on that presentation together, but there's money coming down. Can you talk about that?
Okay, so we actually also just had for the first time some cybersecurity government grants made available. I sat in on a webinar just last week for the first time. It looks like it's coming down to school district level. They are finally identifying it. That, and then another thing that came from the superintendent's meeting that we were in is the push to have the FCC and the E-rate system recognize the need for cybersecurity funds and be able to use some of those dollars for cybersecurity as well. But now that they do have the new grant, we are already starting the process of looking into it and hopefully being able to utilize some dollars like that to help. But I need the help now, and so that's something that we'll do for the future to keep going, but to me, this is important now, so.
Thank you, Brian. Are there any other questions for Brian?
Yes, Brian, two questions. One, is this a position you think you would fly in-house first, or would you have to go outside the district?
My plan is to fly in-house first.
Okay. Second question. In reviewing the job summary and title of the position and such, it looks like there's a substantial amount of training and professional development that one person would help provide to schools, as well as implementation of software programs and monitoring.
One of the biggest things we need to do, and part of the reason we need the help, is because it's really important to me. It's one of the goals, actually, that I have for this year. When I come later, I'll explain that, is to do more of the professional development and training for staff and students on the different issues that are out there and what we can do each individually to help keep the district safe and our personal information safe. Not just district information, but it's important to us that we're teaching all of our staff how to be safe at home and everything, because their entire well-being is important to us. And so this additional person will allow us and give us more bandwidth to be able to handle more of those training opportunities and provide those to our staff.
Agreed. I agree with you 100%. Along with that, this would be a position and job duties that would be in perpetuity, really, because technology is changing.
Absolutely.
However, what time frame do you see that would be comfortable with you in your position, that you would see some results from this extra person in the district? Would the rollout maybe take 6 months, 3 months, a year?
To get somebody on board and
Well, yes, and maybe start implementing programs. If the magic wand was the person's here next Monday, I mean, what type of time frame?
I can tell you as a person, so we are doing everything and managing all those systems right now. We could be managing them better, and so we will start to improve and add additional features that are in what we already have. That will start immediately, because we'll have the additional time and man hours to actually spend on that. That will happen right away. As far as the additional trainings coming out to staff, I see that being a kind of a January after the Christmas break. It's not going to be long. It can't be long, because this is all happening now. We have to be quick. But we'll start to see improvements. And here's the thing. I'm one of the very few people in a school district that actually, and a lot of times, when you don't hear about us or see anything we're doing, it means we're doing a good job. When you do hear about us and see the things that we're doing, it means something went wrong. And so there is a lot of work to be done to make it even better. And so they'll be jumping in both feet as soon as I can get it filled.
Sorry, I had one more comment,
please.
not a question. And that was that one of the up-and-coming hot careers is cybersecurity. And I know with career technical education, and there's not a lot of those programs that are throughout the state of California. The ones that are few and far between, and it'd be an awesome opportunity to maybe look into those at the high school level, to start some type of CTE programs that we could actually take that cybersecurity component that you're doing here and maybe trickle that down to the kids.
I love it, and that's not just stop at CTE, but same with the adult ed program. And I've already started having some conversations there with adult ed for the same type of things. Yes.
The last question I'd have for me is the whole background check on you're adding a security person. How do we know they're not going to be a problem in breaking our security?
So I will tell you that the plan on this one is at first to fly it in-house. So it would be the hope being that it could be filled internally by someone that we already trust and know. I can also tell you, though, that when I bring someone new on, I personally will go with a kind of slow approach as far as getting them access to everything they need. So we start with here's limited access to the areas where I need you working right now, and then as we build that trust together, we will start to increase the level of access that they have to different systems.
And one other question, we're hearing about cyberbullying. And would this person be able to help us with that type of issue?
So one of the other goals I have this year is actually to bring back some of the digital citizenship courses that we had for students. This person is going to be a little bit higher level than that. It's going to be but there will be some curriculum coming out that we're working on finding. I'm bringing back the Technology Advisory Committee, and we'll be looking at different curriculums that are available to start doing digital citizenship type of classes for students. That's where it starts, is letting the kids know that, hey, if you wouldn't say it to their face, don't say it online either. That's a big one, because kids just seem to get very, very confident when they're sitting behind a screen and there's no immediate repercussions for the things that they might say. So a lot of that's going to be education. And I've always said the playground of the past, teachers always taught kids how to behave on the playground. That's what educators have been doing it for years. Well, online is a new playground, and we just need to continue educating them on how to behave there. As far as limiting to cyberbullying, we do a whole lot. We do everything we can. We block Instagram from our kids. We block Facebook. They can't get to it. The problem is all these kids have cell phones, and so they don't need my network to get to it, even if they're on campus, unfortunately. And so we want to educate those kids on what it's like. But we're also going to be start doing some seminars through adult ed for the parents as well, because we want to start doing some seminars for parents saying, hey, this is what your kid's doing on Instagram. Hey, this is how you can take a look and see what's going on Snapchat. And we want to educate the parents on that too, and we'll start that through the adult ed program here shortly. And this person will be someone that can help with those types of seminars at the parent level to say, hey, these are the kinds of things that we need to be looking for.
If you get cyberbullying off of our device, like those notebooks, those Chromebooks, can they do that? Off of our Chromebooks, can they do cyberbullying?
Can they do cyberbullying off our Chromebooks? We limit them on a lot of the things that they could access on those Chromebooks. So again, Facebook, they're not going to. I can tell you this, most of the places that cyberbullying happen, your Instagrams, your Snapchats, we block those. They're not doing it on our devices. They have email. It's possible they could be emailing back and forth, but most of the things where you're going to see that type of information is not happening on the things that we provide, because we don't give them access to it, and so they're using their personal devices for that.
Any other questions?
Actually, I just have a comment, Mr. Williams. I think you said it, very eloquently earlier, that if we don't hear anything going wrong, it means you're all doing a fine job. And thinking back the last couple of years with regards to you and your department and what you had to do and overcome in the distance learning, I truly respect you and your department. And if you're coming to us now and saying that this is the best for your department in our district, that you need this one more person that's going to help make our safer, our sites safer, and our school districts safer, then I'm certainly all for it.
Well, thank you, Mr. Rasmussen.
I had a whole slew of questions, but it looks like everybody else beat me to it. No, again, reiterating all these points, these are great things. Thank you for your team and all that you do. I think what sold it for me was the first word on your first slide, and that was liability. This is a great investment, and this is something that we need. We've got, from another one of your slides, 11,000 users. That's 11,000 opportunities for us to be hacked in some form. And the cyberbullying, yeah, that's on my wish list for this person to take the charge on that. I would add simulated phishing attacks too.
Yes.
I'm an employee of 2 public entities and a contractor for a third, and I get simulated phishing attacks from one of them like every other week, and I do trainings on it all the time. Right. The others, I don't. So I would really very much like to see that happen here.
Absolutely agree with you, yes.
So if there's no other questions, I'd like to make a motion and get us out of here. Approve the job description and position of Network Information Security Engineer.
Second.
Second by Mr. Rasmussen, motion by Gary Criddle. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. Thank you very much, Brian.
Thank you, Board. Thank you.
Now we're at 19.1, Covalon Elementary School Board update.
Thank you. We have PBK and core construction here this evening. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Zobik. I am a job captain with PBK, and I am joined by Veronica Carrasco, who's also with PBK. She's a senior project manager, and then Matt Wade, who is vice president California with core construction. I'm very excited to bring to you an update on the Covalon Elementary School project. We have been developing this with a board study group, multiple inputs from site members, and then also we have Van Pelt on the board who's been providing valuable input, as well as core construction with regards to cost and scheduling. To start off, I'd like to do a quick overview of where we are at the site. I'd like to do the video towards the end. Yeah. So this is a view of what the building will look like from the fields. There'll be a little bit of a flatwork area that provides a bit of a threshold between the building and playfields. And go to the next slide, please. Looking at the site overall, the development is concentrated on an undeveloped portion of the site currently. It's what we're calling lovingly the northern half of the site, which will be separated from the southern half of the site for the length of construction. There is a bit of development along the streetscape in order to provide path of travel requirements, but the majority of the work is focused on what is the light purple shape on the site plan. It is a 2-story, 16-classroom building, and it also has a couple of support facilities, including restrooms and various back-of-house items. Overall, we are looking at providing a new playfield that's directly in front of the building, as well as a bit of hardscape and a couple of outdoor learning areas. There will be some additional site fencing provided. That's the red dashed area along the back, along G Street. This connects into the existing fencing that closes off 7th Street during school hours. Next slide, please. An overall floor plan of the classroom building. We essentially have 2 wings. Each floor has 8 classrooms per wing. We have 2 student restroom bays on each floor, and then we also have 2 staff restrooms, which was a point that was made by the site users that the need for staff restrooms was very key. So we wanted to make sure we had that addressed fully. There is also a small staff rep room on both floors that will provide a resource for a printer, as well as a small break area. So that's a quick overview of the design where it's at right now. On Friday, we were able to submit increment 1, which is the site package, so we're very excited that's within DSA's, the Division of State Architects' hands, and we are working on increment 2, which is the building itself. We have prepared a quick video that will be a walkthrough of the building, starting from 7th, and walking up to the building itself, up one of the staircases, across, and then back, ending in one of the classrooms, in which you can see the full wall of casework that will be provided, as well as the learning wall itself.
If there are any questions or areas I can elaborate on for the building, I'd be happy to do so.
Any questions?
I've got a question, and forgive my ignorance, I'm a little confused. I thought this building was going to go on the southwest corner.
Originally,
change?
that was the proposed location. Through conversations with the board study group, it came up that in order to avoid impacting school functions day-to-day during the construction, that northern side did present the ideal opportunity to situate the building.
Fair enough. And what's going to happen to that area then? Is that going to become the new playground field?
So there's a couple alternates that are currently on the table, budget providing. One of them does involve taking that area and redeveloping it into a larger play field. The existing portables, to some degree, will be removed depending on what the capacity requirements are. New irrigation will go down, and that should provide a good play area that's comparable to what would be removed for the new building.
And there's 16 classrooms in this building. Does that replace all of the classrooms for Covalad?
All except for the ones in Building B, that's the multipurpose building. It has kindergarten classrooms in it right now, and then there's also a preschool that shares the northern property of the site. Those will not be replaced by this building.
And where are we at with the city about allowing us to take control of that street? Or is that still? Oh, good, okay. See, I'm not a part of that committee, so I'm like, wait a minute, what? Great job, thank you.
Have we had a chance to vet, I'm just curious, with all the things, and heaven forbid, all the shootings in Columbine and et cetera, the security of those classrooms for ingress, egress? Has any of that been talked about or mentioned or even looked at from this standpoint?
There have been some questions with regards to security for the site. So security is a system of layers. This site is a bit interesting in that it is a closed campus. It has a fence that goes all around. All the traffic during the day does go through the admin. In order to provide an additional layer of security around the northern portion of the site where we are developing it, we're providing a wrought iron fence that'll provide a security perimeter. And then the building itself is actually made of a construction masonry unit, CMU, so that's a bit more durable material. There's one door into each classroom, and those doors do have a side light. Any windows within there will have a screen that can come down when the lights are off. Due to the perforations within the screen, you can see shadows as they move across, so you could see someone walking across, but they will not be able to see into the classroom itself. I do know we've had multiple talks with technology in order to make sure that surveillance is adequate. During after-hours times, there are security gates that go over the openings into the restrooms to lock down that area, because it is what we call a dead-end corridor, which basically means that there's not an exit on either side. And so we wanted to make sure that wasn't an attractive area for someone to hide in. For the planting that's going in as well, we wanted to make sure that it was kept low so there wasn't any hiding area, but still making sure that, especially along G Street, it's an attractive mix of different plants that'll flower throughout the year.
And how about lighting for security at night?
There is quite a bit of site lighting. There's lighting off the building itself as well to make sure that the cameras can see any activity at night.
And is the solar proposal that we had still a part of that, and has it been updated to accommodate the new building?
The solar is actually separate from this project. I believe it's going in on the southern portion of the site, if that's correct. Yeah, okay. And the building itself is solar ready.
I see Doug shaking his head, yes.
Yeah, Doug can speak to that.
Yeah.
But I'd also want to add on the parking on the I also want to add on the existing parking, we actually had, in one of our alternates, we had lighting shown there, but we have since relocated it so that that area, even if it will have lighting, even if we don't do any development on it. And in the future, if we do development on one of alternatives where it shows new parking, that lighting will be fine. We won't have to tear it apart and redo it. So it was something that when we were talking with electrical and kind of told him what we wanted, he goes, well, we can move it over and have it and, it'll be part of the project, so.
Thank you.
Yeah, so the building itself will be separate from the solar on, so the solar will be on the southwest side of the campus over by the playground area. So those two projects will be separate through DSA, and it won't be connected to the new building.
I'm assuming that we're going to need to probably upgrade that, Doug, because of the solar ionization units. Is that going to be an added thing that's part of that, or was it?
Well, so the building itself will have energy efficient, lighting and AC units, and as far as how the solar will work with the new building, they will be separate just for the fact that they will have two separate DSA numbers. So
yeah, that part I got, and thank you for clarifying. I know originally when we got the bid to do Covalod, we had a solar system put in there, and now we're expanding that. And was that taken into consideration for the expansion of more solar because you have more buildings?
I don't. So to answer the question, I don't believe so. The solar that was created was for a specific amount of savings for the site.
Yes.
Right. So we will already be getting a substantial amount of savings for the new energy efficient lightings and HVAC systems. As we eliminate the portables, that'll take the electricity off the grid for the portables. So
okay,
we'll be upgrading in a sense.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you.
So actually, Zoe, what's next steps, Zoe, and what's the timeline look like?
So once increment 1 got submitted, it wasn't, let's go, take a couple days off. We immediately switched to increment 2 drawings, so we are pushing hot and heavy on those. We do have a page turn coming up with the district for those increment 2 drawings, just making sure everything's all checked out. We have everything dialed in as needed. And then that set of drawings goes into DSA at the end of October. And at that point, it will be under plan review with DSA. We did split the project into 2 increments to speed up the process, if you will. So increment 1 will be ready likely before the end of the year in terms of it being stamped out and approved. At that point, we'll pass it off to core construction and it will go out to bid, and hopefully that will speed up the bid process and allow possibly even construction. Yes, construction to start ahead of increment 2. And sequentially as well, that works well with how this building is going into the site and the fact it is a site that's never been developed, so we do have to bring new utilities to it.
So then, Matt, are we looking at a guaranteed maximum price for the entire project, or phase 1 and then phase 2, or?
Yeah, that's a great question. One of the reasons, another reason other than just schedule efficiency and also breaking these packages out for DSA was to get an early GMP going so we can lock in pricing, lock in that escalation, and really hold our trade contractors accountable for their pricing for all the materials and equipment. So when we go out to bid for increment 1, which would be at the beginning of the year, we'll also have a really good set that's already in DSA and potentially may have some comments already from DSA that will also package out for the trade contractors to put their numbers to. So essentially, we'll have kind of a full GMP number with fully approved set of increment 1 and almost an approved set of increment 2. And that's really trying to get efficiencies to start early and to eliminate any potential, escalation or other crazy market conditions that could happen, from a week now to 4 months from now to another year from now, right?
So we're looking at possibly January starting?
We're looking to go out to bid sometime in January and looking to start sometime probably end of March, 1st of April to get going with the site work to really make it efficient so when the spring comes, we can really break ground in a good season.
Are there any other questions?
So just a comment, I would sure hope, and this time when maybe staff's working with core construction on an end date, that we can have an actual end date when you're all gone. Not like Arboga where you're still there and we're 2 months in after the end of July due date that we thought you'd all be gone. So I would just hope that we could have a little more accurate date of when this project would be completed.
Yeah, no, that's a fair statement. And I think the beauty of having us engage together this early on in the program development at the very beginning, all the way through this story, all the way through this journey, provides accountability with all our teams to deliver, and that's what we intend to do.
So I know this is going to be an unfair question too, Matt. So bringing up Arboga, do we have an end date?
We are substantially complete at Arboga. There are a few remaining items that I did talk to our superintendent, John Gersel, with today. The majority of all those major items, like the walk-in cooler, the hydro seed of the field, will all be complete by the end of next week. All the county work that we were doing, that's all complete with the exception of a little bit of landscaping left in the island on our side of the property. But all the county work on that side has been complete. There's a few minor little punch list items. More of those are just little bugs that we're working out, and some paint touch-ups and cleanup, but the majority of those items should be done next week.
So would it be fair to say that you'd all have all the fences down by the end of October?
I sure hope so, yes.
Are there any other questions from the board? Well, we really appreciate all the work that the design team has put in. I know it's been a labor of love, and that animation just is mind-blowing. It really gives the feel of the building, and we really appreciate that.
Thank you kindly. It's been a great pleasure to work with you on this, so we thank you very much for that.
Thank you. Now we're at 19.2, Resolution 2022-23-14, National School Lunch Week.
Nutrition Services, and I'm here for our annual resolution to declare October 10th through the 14th as National School Lunch Week. It's a great time to recognize the role that the school lunch program has in feeding kids in our community. It's been around for 75 years, and the School Nutrition Association does an annual theme, and this year's theme is kind of a 70s theme, which my staff are excited about. It's Peace, Love, and School Lunch. So hope you can join us the week of October 10th. We're going to be doing some campaigning for dress-up days. We'll put that out on social media and such. So I can answer any questions if there are any.
Any questions from the board? If not, do I hear a motion? Motion approved by Gary Criddle. Is there a second? Second by Doug Criddle. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes 5-0. Thank you very much. Now we're at 19.3. Approve the request for qualifications, RFQ, for Marysville High School track. Do we have Doug?
Yep. Good evening. I'm Doug Trower, Director of Buildings and Grounds. And before we ask you to approve the qualifications for the track, I wanted to go over some of the steps that we had already taken through this process. So with Kevin from Van Pelt, he set up a walk with track consultants to look at the current track area and develop a scope for upgrades to the current facilities. We had a meeting with track coaches from MHS and River Valley to go over renderings and create a layout that would work for holding track meets and section championships. Jennifer set up a community meeting to go over any questions or wants from different groups, coaches, PE, athletic directors, parents, kids, etc. And so now we're asking the board to approve the request for qualifications for the Marysville High School track upgrade.
So this is basically asking for architectural firms?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are there any questions from the board?
Just a comment, Mr. Davis. I just wanted to commend Doug. Thank you for handling that this project with collaborating with the community, stakeholders, job well done. I was impressed and heard lots of great feedback. So that's really what we're all about here is community collaboration and all coming to the same thing. So thank you, sir.
Great, thank you.
Please, Mr. Trower, since not all trustees were present at that meeting, would you kindly take us through the points of the chart that's in front of us?
Oh, boy.
What do we see in front of us? What is it the track is looking like?
So, are you speaking about the freckles we got on the track over there, or just the track in general?
So, Mr. Trower, the RFQ is going out for this entire picture, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So what we did was with the community and with the consultants is developed a complete plan for the track. So we're looking at a complete facilities upgrade, long jump pits, triple jump, discus, you know, everything that it'll take to be able to run a complete high school meet and actually to even be able to hold section championships, which who would even thought that, you know? And we will look at, when we develop this whole thing, it'll kind of be value engineered to make sure that we get everything that we want and set it up in case we can't do everything at the initial startup of it, that we'll have the ability to do it at a later date.
The one question I have is there a plan to put a fence around this and close this off from the general public from using the track?
Yes, there is. So the plan is to put a fence all the way around it, and we have the yellow gates on each end, and those will be eliminated, and we'll still have fencing there, but you won't be able to jump over it or walk through it. So the plan is not to have any dogs out on the new surface, and then there will still be times available for the public to be able to use the track to walk on it.
Okay. At least I'm hoping that through the request, that we'll have each of these items bid, or at least separate, almost like a menu. We definitely want the 8-lane track. That's the basis of the project. But we also have the infield that needs a lot of love, and then the other items for the other parts of the activities we want to encourage there, the shot put, the other stuff. So that's, you know, hopefully we can structure the request so that we can get those itemized.
Yeah, so to me, ideally, when we develop the track scope and look at it as a whole, that we make it to where as soon as we're done, we can start holding meets and be able to use the track as it's developed. The extra items could come into play after the fact, but we'll have to wait and see, you know, how the dollar amount for everything shakes out.
I have just to clarify, since not everybody was there, at that meeting there was an interesting input from our parents and from our track teachers and coaches. Could you remind us a little bit about what this yellow part is and then the red part? And there were a lot of comments on those. I remember a few of them, but I'm sure you and Jennifer might remember more.
So I think we're talking about kind of the shot put areas where we have the two sections. So we'll have the yellow area over to the left is actually a dual shot put, so you could hold, so it can, two people can throw at the same time. That doesn't necessarily mean that we have to do it that way, but that is like the ideal for the track coaches and the schools. And then the yellow sections on the right are to be able to do the long jump and the triple jump simultaneously and not have to use the same runway for both events.
Well, and just like you were saying, Doug, hold track meets, but these are all parts of a track meet. So it's not just a track itself. You got to have somewhere for pole vault. You got to have long jump, high jump. So all of that is part of the track.
Yes, it's a complete track facilities.
Yeah.
I have a question. So all of the red, being on track, surfacing red, is that synthetic?
That would be synthetic as well.
Can we get pricing on turf instead?
So the reason that was developed that way, and it was developed with the track coaches, is that for these particular surfaces, they had to be level and sturdy, and in their opinion, and do all the events that they do, that's the majority of the schools are done this way. And it also helps, well, if we end up having to do the grass field on the infield, we won't be doing the they call them the D areas, the round areas with sprinkler systems, which would disintegrate the track.
Say that again?
I think Ms. Hastie's, that's why I want you to go through that picture. I think Ms. Hastie was talking about the infield? No?
Just the synthetic.
Can you just show it to him, the synthetic?
Yeah,
I'm just concerned about
You're talking
this.
about the D, they split it up and they call it the D area. And it was developed by the track coaches because they felt that was the best way to do it.
Thank you.
Well, I would say, Doug, it looks like on here too, we're talking about maybe doing that hybrid Bermuda like we have at Lyndhurst High School, which, seems to hold up really well. And again, I think when we're thinking about this as a track, but we also need to think as a physical education classroom. So it needs to be utilized not only for extracurricular activities, but it also needs to be utilized by the PE departments.
Correct. Yeah, so the PE department, they won't really be doing the long jump and the triple jump. And, the main part of the field would be the parts that were being used on a regular basis. At least that's how I see it on a day-to-day being out there.
Yeah, that would be my concern as far as being good neighbors, because I know the public likes to use the track a lot, and the topping that you're talking about, I'm familiar with it. And my concern is that would be ruined, if you will, of kids, dogs, bicycles, cleats, all that stuff. So if it's fenced off, I'd feel much better having that. But again, I know that the public really would like to have access to that. So it would be difficult to monitor that after school hours, if you will.
Yeah, so the plan is to actually work with the school to develop a time where the kids won't be using it, and we can keep it open to the public and then close it at a certain time in the evening. And, there may be possibly just days that are being able to be used, not weeks at a time.
Do we know offhand how many kids are on a track team currently or last year? It's not track season yet, is it? That's next. It's a big number. That's huge. 4 dozen.
And so tonight, staff is asking that you, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Normally about a quarter of the student body.
Yeah. This is long overdue.
Doug, I had just a thought, an idea. Based upon how we were running the norms of the last meeting here with community participation and engagement, maybe it might behoove us to possibly do a meeting where we're inviting the public, getting their input, especially if we're doing walking, and maybe they don't walk on the track. Maybe there's a walking path that's in addition to the path that we don't have to do synthetic on, but something at least is safe. Because I live here, I drive past that thing every single day, and weekends, that thing's used constantly. So just a food for thought. I don't know if we can do that or not, but this is an investment for the community, but yet it's also a potential liability too, where we could get it messed up or have it damaged.
That's a good point about the walking path. Isn't there a Blue Zones project about walking?
Yeah, but I think we just bring it to, let's hear from the public, you know? Yeah, it could be. Well, I mean, maybe we have a courageous conversation about it. I don't know. But it is something that I think that it at least bring it forward to the community so that they have a voice in it to say, yes, I at least got to say. Because I know for a fact I'll get a half a dozen emails on that immediately. And that's okay, because I'd like to hear from them to see what they have to say anyway.
So when we did have the set it up, we did set it up where the community could come, and we had a couple of people from the community that do walk the track on a regular basis, which the good part about it is they live right across the street, and they're actually, willing to go, hey, there's people out there that shouldn't be out there, things like that, so.
We talked about in the public session about security and, incorporating the cameras. All of this is layered.
Lighting.
The lighting is absolutely, has to be there. So that, I look at the track and the lighting as one. And I think the big tough one is the infield and trying to protect the track. But I think with the request, we can specify what we want and then see where the chips fall for what we have for resources to go into it. But I know we've heard, at least I've heard at least, like 5 years, going on 6, I've heard about the track at least for 2 years. And I ran on that track when I went to school here in 1970, and it hasn't changed. So it's well overdue for getting it to where it should be today. And so I really congratulate Jennifer and Doug for their leadership. So any other questions?
Actually, I guess it is a question, Mr. Davis, but, thinking about Yuba City's track and River Valley's track, does anybody know, do they allow public on those tracks, or are they locked up, or Wheatland's track?
I spoke over at Yuba City Unified about River Valley, and they do have limited hours for public use.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, depending on the use of the school's use, and it's like from 6 p.m. to dusk, or, whatever the hours are. But yes, they do allow that.
Thank you.
I'd also like to say tonight we're asking for approval for a request for qualifications for architectural services, and then once that is approved, we'll go out for the RFQ, and then we'll choose our architects and then go out for an RFP, which will be the request for proposal to get the scope of the project and all of these nice, fun ideas we can put into one.
Do we have any idea when, God forbid, everything falls into place, when this construction would start?
Well, we'd have to map it out. Right now, we're asking for approval for RFQ, then we'll go out and advertise for the architectural services, then we'll get those our proposals in, we'll rank them and then choose, and then we'll go out for an RFP, and then that'll take a couple weeks to go out, and I think we mapped it. We have a calendar with a timeline, as long as everything goes as planned, I think. What we said.
Starting at the end of the track season. Which was the end of May.
And in the spring.
Okay, so it'd be sometime this summer.
It'll take some time because it has to go through DSA and all that fun stuff.
Any other questions from the board? If not, do I hear a motion?
Motion approved.
Motion approved by Criddle. We have a second by Gary Criddle. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. Thank you very much. That concludes our meeting.
Yuba-Sutter.live's local government live streams are presented by Plumas Lake Self-Storage in Plumas Lake, where lifelong local residents are helping other residents keep things safe, providing indoor storage units, outdoor RV and vehicle parking, moving supplies, and Penske truck rentals. Details at plumaslakeselfstorage.com.
Skip's Marysville Music Cafe with lessons, in-person and personalized. Instruments including guitars and amps, horns, strings for instruments, and a myriad of music and sound equipment. Skip's